glad you're on the live. Okay, well, look, whether you guys have watched before or not, what I'm going to cover today is going to be really valuable for you, whether you're starting from scratch or whether you're already up and running and maybe struggling to sell as many deals as you'd like. So we're going to cover today, first things first, the Facebook group Gold Mines. And again, if you've been following me on Facebook and seeing the content that I've been putting out, that's something I've been speaking about for a long time. The Facebook groups are absolute gold mines. They're so valuable. To be honest, every time I speak to somebody new and they're not aware of the Facebook angle, I'm always shocked. In fact, I think I was actually speaking with yourself, De Quincy, if I remember rightly. I'm just going off of names, but I think De Quincy was speaking about the fact that he was shocked how you could actually leverage and kind of like navigate the Facebook groups and the amount of data and what you can just do with those groups, which most people are not doing. It's something that we've really mastered. I'm going to show you loads of examples of how we've mastered it and what people are doing. But yeah, Facebook group Gold Mines is something that you have to understand, and I'm going to go into as much detail about it as I can today. So that's the first part we're going to cover. Then we're going to talk about high demand areas for rent to rent deals. Now, of course, this is a deal sourcing masterclass, but we do focus mainly on rent to rent deals. Reason being, and I'll kind of go into more detail about it later, but just in short, reason being, rent to rent deals are the quickest property deals that you can do. There's no other type of deal that you'll be able to do as quickly as you can do these deals. As an example, we've got people in the group that are selling deals literally within 2 to 3 days, as in deals sent out to the list, investors are interested, viewings are happening like within 24 hours. And if that investor's serious enough and the landlord's on board, then we can get it done and dusted within literally 2-3 days. So I'm going to show you an example of someone who actually got a deal completed within 2 hours, right? So as quickly as that, up until about 7 days, roughly, it takes. Yes, in some cases, it can take a little bit longer. There's actually one case in the examples, the case studies that I'm going to show you, where it took about 2 weeks for a deal to complete and one of the mentees to get paid 2K. But even in that situation, that was very rare because, just something came up that made it take a little bit longer than it normally would. So usually it's within 2 to 3 days to a week, 7 days, right? So very, very quick. So I'm going to show you how to pick high demand areas specifically for rent to rent deals. And like I said, that's just because they're the quickest deals you can do, right? So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about that, how you're going to pick those areas. A lot of it is going to be based on the rent to rent Facebook groups that you're going to join. Again, I'm going to show you how to do that. But there is a lot of value within these groups and within these areas once you know what you're looking for. So we're going to cover that in great detail. We're also going to go over the qualified investor list. Now, that's something that I'm sure all of you have heard me banging on about. It's like the main thing I speak about because for me, your qualified investor list is the backbone of your deal sourcing business. I'm going to show you loads of examples why. So we're going to go over that in a bit more detail, why it's so important, how to build the list, etc. We're also going to go over your network of co-sourcers and letting agents. Now, again, of course, once you've built your investor list, you're going to need deals to sell. And actually, the quickest way to start selling deals is going to be building this network because these guys will already have deals ready that you can start selling pretty much straight away rather than you having to go and find deals directly, right? But as well as building the network, we're also going to discuss finding motivated landlords. So you are going to secure deals directly from landlords as well. And I'm going to cover that in a bit more detail too. And finally, we're going to talk about how these guys are actually operating this business. And it's actually 100% remote. And when I say 100% remote, sometimes people think that maybe I'm exaggerating and, maybe I'm missing something out. No, when I say 100% remote, I mean, these guys are not visiting these properties. They are not meeting anyone in real life. They are literally doing these deals from start to finish, just using their phones and their laptops, right? So I'm going to show you how that works, how we're doing it, and of course, show you some real life examples of it happening. Yeah. So that's what we're going to cover on this call today. Is everybody okay with that? Just give me a yes or a thumbs up or some sort of signal in the chat to let me know that's what you joined the call for. You're happy to learn that information and you're happy for me to go into as much detail about it as I can. Give me a yes in the chat. I can see there's a few more people who have joined. Also, for the people who have just joined the call, I did already go over this with the other guys, but just let me know whether you can hear me okay and you can see me okay. If there's any issues with quality, just let me know, and then I can kind of try and fix it quickly. Daniel said yes. Adina, yes. Brilliant. Dave said yes. Alex, okay, perfect. Okay, amazing. Adina also said you've watched the masterclass before. Okay, brilliant. And I know we've spoken a couple of times directly as well, Adina. So really happy to have you on. The Quincy asked a question. What I'm going to try and do, guys, is I am going to try and leave the Q&A session right to the end of the call and go over everything in detail. But of course, if there are quick questions that you want to ask as I'm going through this, just fire them in the chat and I'll try and pick them up as I make my way through. Okay, so the Quincy asked, okay, he said, one of the questions I want to ask and really understand at every level, qualification, how to really get the right people to work with. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Don't worry. I won't go into that now because that's part of the process we're going to go through in detail anyway. But definitely, of course, like you heard me say, I believe that your investor list is the backbone of your deal sourcing business. That's how me and my guys are selling deals so quickly. We're not selling these deals so quickly by posting them in groups or in random WhatsApp groups or anything like that. We are sending these deals directly to lists that we've built and they're buying the deals, right? And I'm going to show you exactly how you built those lists. But in terms of the qualifying process, of course, that's very important because the whole point of us building these lists up front before we start looking for the deals is that when there's a deal available, we don't want to have to try and filter through who's serious, who's ready, who's qualified. That's kind of like going to delay the whole process, right? And one thing you guys will find out when you really get involved in this whole rent to rent world is that they go so quickly, right? So you don't really have the time to secure a deal and then go and try and find that serious buyer because literally within the space of a week or so, that landlord will lose their patience and go with someone else. Other people may be making them offers as well. So it's quite a quick business. So this route that we're taking, where we build the investor list first, we qualify them first, make sure we've only got serious people on our list. It just allows you to generate interest from serious people for the deals really, really quickly. Now, to kind of like rewind a little bit and go back to what your actual question is, and I think we even discussed it directly. Of course, there's a set of questions that we ask, right? We've got a whole list of questions that we ask. But what I always say to the guys is that, to be honest, even after you've gone through that process of asking the qualifying questions and feeling comfortable that this person is serious, to be honest, you never really find out how serious somebody is until there's a deal there, until there's deals being put in front of them and you're actually testing them and giving them that follow-up call to say, hey, look, Gary, I sent you over some deals. They fit what we discussed you was looking for. What's your thoughts? And if you're doing that over and over and over again, and they're never biting and they're never communicating with you, and they're never, at least giving you the feedback so you know why they're not interested in the deal, if that's the reason why, then you know that that person isn't as serious as what you may have thought, but you would have qualified them initially. So qualifying them is like one layer of the process, right? We're going to ask them the right questions. We're going to have that phone call with them to build rapport and kind of like get them to drop their guard a bit and maybe give us the opportunity to be a judge of character, whether we would even want to work with that person. But ultimately, it's when the deal is there that we really find out who's serious, who's ready, who'll pull the trigger. So yeah, but we'll go into that in more detail, De Quincy. I hope that makes sense. I hope that response is reasonable. But like I said, we'll go into more detail about it. Yeah. Okay. So guys, I'm going to assume everyone can hear me okay. Everyone can see me okay. And I'll continue. Okay. Right. So as I said, you kind of know what we're going to be covering today. So I just want to get an idea of who I've got in the room. At the moment, some of you are being really quiet. So please make use of the chat. Write to me, ask questions. I'm pretty sure there's reasons. There's a reason why you've joined this call. It's either because there's something you're unsure about, or there's something that's not working in your business, or maybe you just haven't even started it and you don't know where to start, right? So please make use of this time. Pick my brain. As again, if you're not aware of my backstory, I've been in this business almost 13 years now. And over the past 3 years, I launched the Six Figure Deal Sourcer program, and we've got almost 200 people who have been getting these results, consistently if you've been following me, you see I post them all the time. We have them in the free group. There's like a list of them for you to go through. So I know what I'm talking about. So if there's anyone's brain that you should be picking about deal sourcing and getting it to a certain level, it's me. So please, please make use of the chat. I'm more than happy to answer all questions. But whilst you're doing that and whilst you're thinking of any questions you've got, I'd love to know what the current status is of your deal sourcing business. Now, some of you I'm kind of speaking with directly anyway on school via the DMs, but please, even you guys, just again refresh my memory so that I've got an idea of who I've got in the room. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we've got who have we got? Who have we got? We've got Dave. Dave just sent me a message. Dave, that was sent to me directly, so I don't think the rest of the guys can see it in the chat, but I'll read it anyway. It says, "For me, I'm a co-deal sourcer at the moment, and I'm close to selling 2 deals. Brilliant, well done, Dave. I have high hopes they are going to go through." Okay. Out of interest, Dave, what's the reason? Well, not the reason. What's the reason? What's the situation with those 2 deals? Where is it at right now? Have the investors viewed? Has offers been put forward? Has offers been accepted? Like, where are we with things? Maybe I can give you some guidance that will help you on that. But well done, really, really good. Anyone else? Talk to me. We have 9 people in the room, so just give me a little idea of where you're at with things, guys. I want to give you as much guidance as I can on this call. Essentially, when you leave this call, you should be pretty clear on exactly what you need to do moving forward, right? So if you come on this call unsure about anything, shouldn't be leaving the call still unsure, right? In terms of deal sourcing, anyway. So if there's anything you're unsure about, if there's a reason why you are not getting the results similar to the guys that I'm about to show you, where I'm talking about, 3K weeks, 10K months, 10K weeks, 20K months, right? If you're not hitting those sorts of numbers, there's a reason. And like I said, it could be that maybe you haven't even started the business yet and you're just still considering it. Of course, I can help you with that. There's loads of guidance I can give you on that. And actually, everything I'm going to go through in a minute is going to help you. But let me know. Tell me, I'm just starting out. Or, like I said, you may already have started and you might, similar to Dave, you've selling your first 2 deals. There's still things that you're unsure about. Pick my brain. Let me know. And I'd love to go over it with you whilst we're here. Dave said it's a deal in London, Zone 1. Okay, brilliant. Good part of the country. The other deal sourcer I'm working with is going to negotiate the viewings with the investors. Okay. So are these your investors, Dave? Sorry, guys, not to kind of deviate and just focus on Dave, but these questions that Dave's going to ask, the answers will probably help you guys as well, right? So let's try and uncover as much as we can, as much as we can. Okay. And I also had a message from Alex. Alex says, finishing my AML in order to qualify for trading before signing up to my program. Okay. Look forward to working with you, Alex. We've spoken before as well. So, yeah, really look forward to getting you on board and getting you up and running. Okay. Anybody else? Talk to me, guys. What's the current situation, the current status of your deal sourcing business? Is there anybody in here already hitting 10K months? Just give me a yes if you are. You probably wouldn't be on this call if you are, but just out of interest, is there anyone already hitting 10K per month? If there isn't, then I'm going to assume everybody is in a similar situation in terms of maybe complete newbie or just starting and kind of trying to find your feet, right? Okay, I'm going to make that assumption for you. I can't see any more updates. So, okay. Oh, just missed that one. Okay, guys, if you can, I'd love to know what your goals are for your deal sourcing business. And you can just let me know quickly, guys. Are you aiming for 10K per month? Are you aiming for 3K per month? Right? I was just speaking with somebody yesterday on a call who's actually just joined the program today as it goes and started working with me today. But their goal was just to make enough to cover what they're currently earning in their 9 to 5 job. And currently they're earning less than, or they're taking home less than 2K a month, just under 2K a month, right? So of course, for them, that's one sale. That's literally one sale a month, you know. And when we kind of went through everything, and they've already kind of spoken with 1 or 2 of the guys in the program that are smashing it, and like it just shows you what the possibilities are, right? These people are selling rent to rent deals week in, week out, making 3K, so making more than what this person's earning per month. They're doing that in a week, in a day in some cases. So it's possible, but of course, you have to be clear on what your goals are, um, so that we know whether or not it's realistic or not, right? That person's goal is super realistic. I even said to them, there's no way on earth you're going to tell me you can't sell one deal in 30 days with what I'm going to show you. Just one. Because remember, they only want to replace their income. They're not too fussed about the 10Ks and 20Ks per month. They just want to make more money or similar money to what they're earning right now in their job. And that's one sale a month. So you guys tell me, give me an idea of where your minds are at. What sort of goals are we looking at? Okay, so Nick, hey Nick said, really want to understand the best way to gain investors and also the best areas for rent to rent. I seem to struggle to stack deals because so many people don't include all the figures. Okay, definitely. Please stay tuned, Nick, because I'm about to go through all of that in detail in just a second. You're going to be super clear on exactly how to build your investor list, what to say to them, where to find them. And in terms of stacking deals, I mean, I'll give you as much information as I can about it here, but also it's something that I work with my guys 24/7 on. So if they've got a deal that they're struggling with and they need to go over the numbers, we actually go over the numbers in real time together. So that's the kind of support that I can offer you. But that's something we'll talk about later. For now, I'm going to give you a ton of free information that you can use straight away, i.e., first things first, getting that investor list built, because that's what's really important to begin with anyway. So that was Nick, and then Alex said 10K per month. We're gonna get you there, Alex. 4 sales. Remember what we discussed? 4 sales. That's all it takes. 1 sale a week. And there's people doing, it's ridiculous what people are doing, right? With the way that we're doing this, there is so much potential. It's more about how much you put into it than anything, to be honest. It's not about whether it works or not. We know it works. There's way too many examples of it working up until today. It's more about what you're going to put into it. Are you someone who's going to do the work, or are you just going to take the information in and sit on it? Right? That's kind of like, that's down to you. But I'm going to give you all of the info that you need. Same info I've given all of these guys that I'm going to show you, for you to get out there and just do it. There's no reason why you can't. So, okay, 10K per month is definitely realistic, Alex. Nick said, I see people sell deals all the time, but when I analyze them, I can't see how they make them stack. Well, I mean, to be honest, Nick, if they're selling the deals, when you say you see them selling it, do you mean as in you're actually seeing that they're sold, someone's purchased the deal, or you mean they're advertising the deal? When you say I see people selling deals, you mean they're advertising the deals and you can't really see how they stack up? Or are we talking about deals that have sold and investors purchased them and you don't understand how it stacked up? Just let me know, just so I'm clear. And the reason why I'm asking that question is because I always tell people, as deal sources, we do everything we can. We're going to do our due diligence. We're going to look at comparables in the area, and we're going to try and make sure that the numbers stack as best as possible. But that is a difficult task, being completely honest with you. It's very difficult. In fact, it's impossible to be bang on with your numbers because, as you guys will probably know, I mean, just go and look on Airbnb, for example, at 5 different properties that are all similar on the same road, and they've all got different rates. They've all got different nightly rates, right? But they're almost identical. So when you look at things like that, how can we possibly be bang on if we're looking at one property and the next 4 or 5 properties that are within close proximity and are as comparable as can be are all different rates, right? So what I say is that it all ties back into that investor list, because what me and the guys are able to do is, if there's ever a deal that we're kind of like, we've looked at the numbers, but we're not sure, it doesn't look like it stacks, or we just can't seem to find any good comps, or whatever the situation is, we've got the luxury of going straight to that investor list and saying, hey guys, look, I'm speaking with a landlord in London, trying to go back and forth on the numbers. We haven't got it agreed just yet, but they are open to corporate lets. It's going to be a rent to rent deal. It's ready to go. It's in London. It's blah, blah, blah. What's your thoughts on it? What would you need for this deal to be secured at for it to be attractive for you? Like, we have that luxury of going and having that conversation because the list is already built before we even start looking at deals. Whereas a deal sourcer who doesn't have that list, they're stuck. Because if they can't get the numbers right, who do they go and speak to, right? They can't post it in the group and hope that people start reaching out, giving them that bit of information. People are going to be like, well, the deal should be secured if you're posting it here and there, right? But because we're building relationships with investors, which is very different, we're able to have those convos. And I can't tell you, Nick, how many deals we sell just by having those upfront conversations. So it helps you actually do your numbers. So yeah, but we'll go into it a little bit more detail about due diligence a bit later. But I think that's a very important point to keep in mind. I see it all the time. People look at a deal or what they think is a deal, and for whatever reason, think that deal doesn't really look like it's too good, and then maybe they don't advertise it to the list. But then another person, another sourcer, who also stumbles across that opportunity, sells it, which tells you there's a buyer out there for it. Maybe not at the current price it's at or whatever the current terms are at, but there's an investor that might be interested in that patch. They might already have units there. They might already know the area really well. And maybe there's a little bit of negotiations that needs to happen. But the bottom line is the deal sold. Somebody purchased it. So we don't want to get too tied up on due diligence. We want to get more tied up on, of course, doing our numbers, but communicating with our clients more to like build that relationship, work together, put our heads together with the investors. And I tell you, that's a much more powerful approach. Does that make sense, Nick? Let me know. Give me a message in the chat. I know I went on a little bit, but I just want to make sure I'm covering everything. Okay. Um, Let me make sure I'm not missing any questions. Where are we? So Daniel, hey Daniel. Daniel said I haven't made any sales yet, still struggling. Okay, give me an idea of why you feel like you're struggling, Daniel. Is there anything in particular that you feel like you're missing, or is it just, I don't know, you're not securing deals for whatever reason? You can't seem to find investors, or you tell me. Let me know what it is, and I'm going to give you some tips. Yeah. Um. Okay. Nick said, my goal of reaching 3K per month over the next month or two, but ultimately I want my earning potential to exceed 30K a month. Okay, again, very doable. I don't know if you guys saw the posts or loads of posts similar, but one of the more recent ones about my client Mahen, who actually joined the program only about 2 or 3 months ago. Again, from scratch, sold his first deal within his first 3 weeks of joining the program and working with me. And it was only last month, I believe it was last month, or maybe the month before, time's going so fast, that he sold over 30 grand's worth, or almost 30 grand's worth of deals. This is someone who's starting from scratch and they're not even 5 months into working with me or 5 months into having this business. So if that's what you're looking to do within the next 12 months, for example, get to that stage, more than doable. But again, if I use someone like Mahan as an example, this is someone that's taken what I've given him in terms of the guides and the steps and all of the methods and strategies. He's put the work in, but also he's reaching back and saying, Gary, look, this person said this. What do I do? This is the situation with this. What do I do? Right. So he's making as much use as he can of that support too. So he's not just taking the info, going out there trying to figure it out on his own, falling flat and then giving up. He's doing it and he's making sure he's reaching back and really benefiting from that value. So he's like a prime example. And there's loads of others. We've got Miriam, those sorts of numbers, Charlie, the list goes on and on. All the guys in the group like Nana that's selling block deals, and you sell one block deal, good sized block deal, and you can make 30K just from that. If you sell 10 units at 3K each, that's 30K really. Now, if someone's taking 10 units from you, usually you'll give them a discount. So you probably wouldn't charge them the full 30, but it'd probably be about 20, for example, right? If we took £1,000 off of each unit. So 30K per month is very, very realistic. Very realistic, but of course it's going to need some work. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, Nick. Okay. Nick said, yes, it's the deals that I know. Oh, sorry. Yes, deals that I know have sold. Sorry, mate. Okay. So yeah. So, okay. So just to go back to that. So the reason why I asked that question was because if they've sold, so if an investor's taken them on, then again, it doesn't really matter what we think about the deal. Like, I'm in agreement with you. I see deals float about all the time that, to me, I just can't necessarily see how they would work. But then I speak with that sourcer a couple of days later and it sold, right? I think the reason why that happens goes back to what I was just saying. the deal might not look perfect at first, but with some communication, some back and forth, some negotiations, now the deal looks perfect for that investor. So that's why I never really put my own opinion into this, because my opinion doesn't really matter. I'm not the one taking that deal on. If it's a deal I'm taking on, of course, my opinion matters. But when we're talking about deal sourcing, it's all about what the client thinks, right? And like I said, we're going to do as much research as we can. But I mean, when you've got someone who has, let's say, for example, 10 units already in the area, all within close proximity of this property we're trying to advertise, we can do as much research as we want online. This person knows what's going on the ground. So again, a deal that might not look so good to us, to him, he sees how it works, right? And this is why it's so important to have that list, have people like that on your list, and communicate with them as you're securing deals. And you'll find that you sell a lot more deals that way. Deals that maybe at first you didn't even think would work. Does that make sense, Nick? Let me know in the chat. I hope that makes sense. And guys, for the rest of you, let me know, is this making sense for you as well? I hope this is all making sense. Okay. All right. So let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. And then we're going to move on because I know time is ticking, guys. Okay. So Nick said, where was we last? Okay. The 3 months. Okay. So it was Adina. Right. So Adina said, I started 3 months ago, no sales yet. I've been very close a few times, but nothing gone through. Bit frustrated as I am having 1 or 2 serious investors out of probably 10 that seemed interested and ready to go. Found 3 new investors interested in block deals, but I need to go back and find new serious investors. I have deal sources sending me lots of deals every week, but no one to sell to. Okay, cool. So Adina, just let me know, just quickly in the chat. One, how many investors do you have? Qualified investors. So I think you mentioned that there's 1 or 2 out of probably 10, but is that 10 for one area? Is that 10 split across 3 different areas? Like, just give me a better idea of what your lists look like, because it may be that the list need more attention. And that's the case in for a lot of people, to be honest with you. You don't have enough people on your list yet, qualified, actively taking deals on, ready to go. And that's where your focus has to be at first. So, of course, I'm saying this not knowing what your response is yet, right? You may have, of course, a lot of investors on the list qualified, but just I would imagine that's the reason why. Because if you've got a lot of deals coming your way and you're sending them out, the only thing that can be stopping them from selling is the list isn't qualified enough, the list isn't big enough. So it's only going to 1 or 2 people. And if that 1 or 2 people doesn't take it, you're kind of stuck. So very important to make sure that the list is built in a certain way so that it's much easier for you to generate interest when you send the deal out. Like, for example, these guys that I'm going to show you, they send the deal out and, you know, same day they've got interest. Next day they've got interest and they're able to book viewings in within 24, 48 hours. I was just editing a video today where actually with Marhin again. I know I'm talking about Marhin, but on one of his last sales where he had 3 investors go through the doors same day. And that was maybe 2 days after he just sent the deal out, right? And then he sold that deal. Difficult to do that if your list isn't right. His list is strong, so he's able to do that, right? But okay, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Adina said trying to get block deals now. Okay, 10 all in London. I agree. My list is not okay. And is that 10 qualified? As in, you've spoken on the phone with all 10, you've taken them through a series of qualifying questions, or is that 10 that maybe you've spoken with on Facebook, quick combo, and then you've added them to a list? Just let me know, being honest, just so I can really give you some help. Okay. All right, that's Adina. I'll wait for your response on that, Adina. And did somebody else ask a question? Let me just scroll back up. Right. So Nick said it does make sense, mate. Maybe it's just a mental block as I want to ensure the investments are solid for the investor. So I can, yes, and I know exactly what you mean, Nick. I'm the same. Like, this whole strategy is based off of being fully transparent, you know, keeping your name clean, doing good business, 10 out of 10 customer service. So I'm on exactly the same page as you. And actually, this is what I mean. So when you're having those kind of conversations with your clients, you find that people do treat you with a little bit more respect because they can see that you're genuinely trying to make deals work. You're not just trying to pitch them any and everything. If you look at a deal and you're unsure about the numbers, and then you call me, I'm someone on your list. You sent the deal out to the list, and then you've done some follow-up calls. You get on the phone to me, Gary. Look, don't know if you saw those deals, that information I sent you. Look, just want to get your take on it. Deal's not secured yet, right? So, like I said, transparent, right? Deal is not secured yet. I'm still going back and forth with the landlord, but I want to know what you think. What do you think it should be going for? What would it look like if it was attractive for you? What would it be? How can I make this the perfect deal for you? And then you start kind of getting those bits of feedback from your clients. So again, you're not attempting to sell them the deal and pitch it to them as though it's perfect and they take it on and then they're unhappy. No, you're going to work with them to make it the deal that's attractive to them, but it's going to be based on what they want, not what we want. It's always going to be based on what they want. So you'll sleep like a baby at night, mate. Trust me, with the way I'm going to show you how to do this, you're going to get some really good feedback from your clients. And honestly, there's not one. I mean, you guys, if you're in the free Facebook groups, you're probably seeing all the horror stories floating around of like deal sources taking money up front from investors and disappearing and people being robbed and scammed and all of these, like the bad press basically that deal sources are getting. Out of the 200 or almost 200 clients that I've worked with, mentees I've worked with, not one of those people have ever been in that circulation. Never, ever, ever. And that's because we're working off of certain ethics and morals. We're not trying to scam anyone. We're not trying to trick anyone into buying a deal. We want to work with you to make sure the deal works. So you're happy. You give us good reviews. You give us good referrals, and you buy deals from us over and over again, which is what a lot of these clients do. Once you really filter down that list properly to the serious investors, you start to realize that, okay, these are not even people that just buy one deal from me. They're buying deals from me over and over and over again, right? So that's what you want to work on. And yeah, like I said, you'll feel a lot more comfortable in what you're doing. Okay. Okay. I've spoken to them on a call. Okay. Okay. Well, maybe we need to speak about okay, another question, Adina, before I move on. When you're sending them the deals, what's happening? When you say people are not interested or they're not biting, is it that you're sending deals out to them and everybody's responding and saying they're not interested? Or is it that nobody's responding? What's happening? You mentioned there's one or two people on the list that you feel is more serious than the others. What's making you think that? Is it because those one or two people are communicating with you, like responding when you're sending a deal out? Just give me an idea, just so I know. Right. Okay. So if you guys can't see in the chat, Adina said most are not responding. Now I just put a post out about this actually about 2 days ago, I think, about the whole investors not responding, right? Adina, question. Do you do follow-up calls when you send deals out? Have you been calling all 10 of those people 24 to 48 hours after you send them a deal? No, you haven't called. Okay, cool. So okay, out of the 10, two are responding. Okay, that's very normal, right? As strange as it probably sounds, the people on your investor list aren't going to respond to you too much, right? Especially when you have serious investors on your list, right? Reason being, when you're working with serious investors, like the guys that I'm going to show you, people who are buying block deals or buying multiple deals from you, spending that 3K without questioning it, the serious investors on your list, they are very busy people. 9 times out of 10, they're super busy, right? And this is something I discuss with everybody that starts working with me new, because that is always the feeling of, okay, I've built this list, now I'm sending deals out. Nobody's responding when I send the deals, right? But I always remind people that there's two things that happen when you send these deals out. The first thing is nobody sees it. Nobody sees it. Like, for example, I mean, in our program group, we literally have um tons of replay videos of me getting on the phone and doing follow-up calls for the guys to the guys investors, my mentees investors, after they've sent them a deal, usually 24 to 48 hours afterwards. We do it together on our workshop. And I can tell you, and I've done hundreds of these calls, by the way, over the 3 years, literally hundreds call out sessions. And I'll tell you that actually about 95% of the investors that I've spoken to, hundreds, remember, 95% of them, when I get them on the phone, they say, sorry, Gary, I didn't even see the message with the deal in it. Every single time. So that's the first thing that happens. Nobody saw it, right? And of course, if they don't see it, they can't respond to tell you that they're interested or not interested, right? The second thing that happens is they see it, but they're so busy that they don't get a chance to respond, right? And I sometimes like to use myself as an example, right? I'm a dad with a child in secondary school, a 2-year-old in nursery. I'm very hands on. I do the school run every day. I've got a wife, I've got businesses, I've got this, I've got that going on. When somebody sends me a WhatsApp or an email, I barely even open my emails. So if you're sending emails, forget about it. But WhatsApp, because that's what we use, because that's the best open rate. When someone sends me a WhatsApp, I'll be honest, they're lucky if they get a response, because I might open my phone and my 2-year-old's pulling my arm, dad, right? Or my wife needs me to go and run and do something, or my other child, So busy people aren't always going to be easily accessible. The way around that is the follow-up calls. And this is why I always say to people, and we're covering quite a lot now just with the questions. We're going to get into this in depth in a second, but whilst we're talking about it, the follow-up calls are so important. So important. It's actually scary how important they are. And it's even more scary how much people do not do them, right? Because you'll be shocked the amount of money you've possibly left on the table because you assume that nobody on the list is interested because they didn't respond to the message, when actually there's 3, 4 people on the list that are interested. You just need to get them on the phone and make sure they've seen the deal in the first place, right? So when you send your deals out, Adina, and of course, if we ever start working together, we're going to jump on the phones together. I will do those calls with you. But when you when you next send out your batch of deals to your list, don't even worry about the responses. If that 1 or 2 people respond, great, amazing. What I want you to focus more on is when I send the deal out, everybody who does not respond is going to get a phone call, every single one. And on that call, all we're really going to do is one, hey, Gary, how's it going? Look, it's just a quick call. I just wanted to make sure you saw those deals that I sent you yesterday. Did you see them? Just that question alone opens up a can of worms, and it takes you down a rabbit hole where all of a sudden this person who didn't see the deal in the first place is interested. They want more info. Now we're booking them in for a viewing. Now they've viewed and they've made an offer, and now we've got a sale a week later. But the only difference between that not happening and it happening is we picked up the phone and called to make sure that they saw the deals, rather than just depending on, I sent it to you. If you're serious, you're going to see it. Right? Does that make sense, Adina? Do you get where I'm coming from? We'll go into more detail about it in a second, but just in short, I hope that makes sense. Let me know. Okay, and for the rest of you guys as well who's listening, is this all making sense? Give me a yes if this is making sense. Of course, I'm gonna have the visuals up in a second for you, so we'll be able to go through it in even more detail. But okay, so Adina said, of course, they are busy, and I also don't want to spam them. I often send them lists of deals, and I fear that they're put off by lists and not tailored deals. Yes, it makes sense. Yes, you're absolutely right, Adina. So I just put out a post in the free group. I don't know if you've seen it on my Facebook as well, about the call out session that I just done with Samuel on Friday, just gone. One of the mentees in the group, only joined the program 3 weeks ago, about a month ago, as it goes, and exact same situation, right? So Samuel sends out a bunch of deals on the Friday, wherever it was, end of last week. There was, I believe it was 80 something deals in that message, right? 80 something deals, 85 deals, right? So, like you said, a bunch of deals, bulk, right? So he sends the deals out. He hasn't done the follow-up call because I've told him we're going to do them together on the workshop. So I get on the phone, I start doing the follow-up calls for Samuel. I'm speaking to his investors, lovely people, um, loads of really good conversations. But there was one in particular that I want to talk about, right? Off the back of those follow-up calls, he's got interest. There's viewings happening through this week and all sorts going on. But this one particular conversation with this lady who's really interested in some of the deals right now as it goes. So when she got on the phone to me, I opened the call up like I just said to you guys, introduced myself, told her, I'm a colleague of Samuel's, etc., etc. Just calling about some deals that Samuel sent you a couple of days ago. Oh yeah, Gary, I did see those deals. So look, that's just to kind of rewind, going back to what I said to you guys not long ago. She'd seen the deals. She saw the WhatsApp, she saw the information, she saw the deals, but she didn't respond to him, which is why I'm calling her now, right? So I said, okay, you saw the deals? She said, yeah, I saw them. And I said, okay, just out of interest, any kind of like jump out at you, any of interest? And she goes, Gary, I'll be completely honest with you. There was too many for me to go through, right? And we kind of laughed and joked. And I said, to be honest, I get where you're coming from. 85 deals, it's gonna take a lot of time to kind of like scrape through all of those, right? So she was like, yeah, it's just a bit too much, and etc. etc. So I said, okay, so this is where you will take control of the situation, Adina, rather than feeling like, okay, I don't want to spam them and avoiding having the convo. Take control of the conversation, take control of the situation. So I turned it around rather than saying, okay, all right, sorry, what we'll do is we'll go away and we'll break them all down and we'll send them one by one, or whatever, someone might have said in a panicking state. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Whilst I've got you here, so you got a minute, you can talk for a sec? She said, yeah, no problem. I said, okay, while I've got you here, just very quickly tell me what your specific criteria is. I know you've already had the convo with Samuel previously. I don't have that information in front of me, if I'm being completely honest with you. So again, it's back to that whole being fully transparent and honest, like I was just saying with Nick. I said, so if you just kind of tell me, what I'm going to do is, whilst I've got you on the phone, I'm going to tell you whether there's anything in that 85 that fits. If there isn't, then look, I don't want to bug you, right? I'll let you go. But if there's a few in there, then at least I can tell you about them rather than you having to go through that whole list on your own, take time and energy. I can just tell you, look, there's this one, this one that seem like they fit. I can send them to you again on WhatsApp and then you can let me know. Anyway, cut a long story short, she says, okay, no problem. Whilst, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really wait for her to give me the full information. As she was just explaining it to me, I'm literally scrolling through as I'm talking to her. I've got her on loudspeaker and I'm scrolling through the list that Samuel sent her. And she's saying to me these different criterias, and I'm literally seeing one or two deals in that list that are almost identical to what she's describing to me, right? So I'm saying to her, I can't remember exactly what the lady's name was, but let's say her name was Adina. So I said, Adina, 1 second, 1 second. I said, that one, I've got one just like that on this list. So she's like, oh, you do? I said, yeah. So cut a long story short, I start breaking down. There was about 5 different deals in that list of 85 that literally looked like they were exactly what she was telling me there and then. So I explained them to her on the phone briefly, not full details, but just like in brief, just enough for her to know what I'm talking about. And I said, what do you think? Is that the type of thing you think you'd be interested in? She said, Gary, definitely. Send them over to me. Let me have a good look when I get back in my house and I'll come back to you. And she even kind of apologized that she didn't respond to us, right? And I said, look, I understand it's 85 deals, it makes sense. Cut a long story short, the next morning she texts me, because of course I called her from my phone. Morning, Gary. I've posted it in the free group, so you guys can see rather than me just saying it. But she texts me, morning, Gary. I'm interested in 2 of the deals, 2 or 3 of the deals. I passed it on to Samuel. Samuel's dealing with her now. She's viewing them. She's interested, etc. Now, the point of that is, if we just looked at it as this is 85 deals, I don't want to spam her. I'm not going to send it. Or we did send it and we thought it's 85 deals. I don't want to call her and bug her. We would have missed out on that opportunity, right? I always like to remind the guys that on that initial call, when you speak to that person, or actually even before the initial call, when you first reach out to these investors, they're fully aware of what this communication is. They know that we're here to sell you deals. Yes, of course, we want to create a relationship, but me communicating with you about any opportunities I have based off of what we discussed in the first place, that's exactly the transaction that you should be expecting from me, right? So Adina, you should never ever feel that you're spamming them or you're bugging them. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to give you that response. People are really polite. They give you the time of day. I can't tell you how many times I speak to investors and I say, oh, have I caught you at a good time? And they say, oh, I'll be honest, Gary, I'm busy right now. I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And I say, okay, look, I just wanted to grab you for like 2 seconds if I can. And I would say out of 10 people, 9 would say no problem. And they'll give me the time of day and actually end up speaking to me even longer than they probably expected to, right? So don't overthink it. Send those deals out. Get on the phone. If you're sending bulk deals, 85 deals, 50 deals, 20 deals in one go, that's even more reason for you to get them on the phone. Because, like I said, if we didn't call that client for Samuel, she would have literally read the message, seen that there was 85 deals, and said, I'm not going through all of that. And we potentially left money on the table, right? So very, very important. The follow-up calls just in general are important, but especially in a situation like that. So it's a good point you brought up. And that's the way that I would approach it. Yeah. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. I've got a few of you saying it makes sense. That's good enough for me. Okay. I can't see any more questions, guys. Let me just scroll back up, make sure I haven't missed any. Um, and then we will carry on. I don't. Oh, okay. Daniel. Sorry, Daniel. I almost missed you. I don't have an investor list yet, and I haven't done rent to rent yet. Basically, what I do is sourcing deals for other people. Okay. All right. No problem. That's fine. Well, again, what I'm going to show you today is going to allow you to maybe stop having to source for other people, and you can start sourcing for your own clients. I'm assuming that's what you mean by source for other people. You mean you're finding the deals for them to sell to their clients or something along those lines. But if that's what you mean, then you do want to have your own clients to sell to. Very important. you know it's To me, it's actually more important to have your own investors to sell to than it is to have the deals, because you guys will start to see that the deals come and go. Being honest, the deals will literally slip through your fingers like sand. That's how quickly they come and go. So there's not really, the value is not really in the deals. I know that's where people think they are, and that's why near enough every deal sourcer starts off by trying to find deals, because they think, oh, I'll find the deals, the buyers will just magically appear. But actually, the value is in the list, the investor list. The value is not even in one particular investor. It's in that list, being able to leverage a list, right? So yeah, I would say what I'm going to show you today will allow you to go off and start creating your own situation where you can start doing deals on your own, or you can continue to work with that person, but you're not dependent on them, if that makes sense. Yeah, I hope that makes sense, Daniel. Let me know in the chat. Okay, guys. So as I said earlier, I'm going to give you the exact same strategy that the clients are using to make £10,000 plus per month currently. Um, we've been doing this consistently for 3 years. I launched this program in 2021, and the first person that joined the program, his name was Kieran Goldie, sold his first deal in 4 weeks, second deal a week later. And every year since, we've had some superstars come and join the program and just crush it, multiple superstars. So, and this is still happening till today. So I want to show you some of those examples, just so you see that it's not just me talking about it, shouting about it from the rooftop. These are real people. Again, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you would have been seeing this over time, as I've posted them. And I'm super transparent with the results I put out there. There's a lot more sales that have happened within the program that I haven't put out, because there are some people who'd like to just prefer to keep themselves private. But for the people that are happy for me to put it out there, I put it out just so that there is that social proof, that it doesn't just look like I'm just shouting about it from the rooftops. You're seeing real people. You can click on their profiles, you can speak to them if you want to, you know, and you know that if they can do it, you can do it. None of them are smarter or better than you, so there's no excuse. All you guys are probably lacking is the know-how. So that's what my job is. I'm going to make sure I cover everything today. Okay, very quiet in the chat, guys. Talk to me. Can everyone still hear me okay? You can still see the screen okay, because we're going to get into the actual process now. Just let me know. Give me a signal in the chat, guys. I want to make sure everybody can see everything nice and clear. You can hear me nice and clear. And then we'll cover everything in detail. Okay. So, as I said, I want to go over a few examples of some of the sales or results that the guys are getting in the group. We'll talk about some of the more recent ones over the past few weeks. So, just let me know, guys. Can everyone see this? In the background, you should see Quran. A case study about my client Quran. Give me a yes if you can see Quran. You can see the 3K payment. You can see the writing. Let me know. Give me a chat. Okay, Dave. Perfect, Dave. Okay, so as you can see here, this is my client Karan. Um, he is using the exact strategy that I'm going to be giving you guys this evening, and he's managed to sell multiple deals using this strategy. This is just one example, just a week or so ago, where he was able to sell a deal to an investor that he found in a free Facebook group, a deal that he secured for free and was paid, as you can see here, £3,000. You can see here, this was him posting it on his story. Another deal sold today. And then I reached out and was just congratulating him because Karan's just absolutely been smashing it. And he said, thanks, Gary, all your knowledge getting to work. So literally, he is using that strategy. Um, like you guys heard me talk about, understanding the value of having an investor list built first. So again, these guys that are buying these deals from him, they're not people that are coming on board after he's got the deal and he's trying to market it. These are people he's already spoken with, he's already found, qualified, added to his list. So when he had this deal, he was able to send it straight to the list, right? So really, really important. And then off the back of that, 7 days later, he's able to be paid £3,000, which you can see here. And I love it when the guys are happy to post their results. I know some people are a little bit standoffish when it comes to talking about money and showing money and things like that. And I get it. I completely get it. But I also love it at the same time because again, it just shows you guys that it's real. Because he could easily say, "Oh, I sold a deal, made 3K," and you're like, "Okay," but he's actually showing us the money hitting his bank account, right? And he's done it over and over again. We'll go through more examples. But that's Karan. We also have my client Shah, again, another one that just happened over the past couple of weeks. This is a deal that he co-sourced. As you can see here, he made 3K in less than 2 weeks. It would have actually been a much quicker process, but there were some last minute amendments that him and the co-sourcer had to sort out. It wasn't too much of an issue, but it just meant that they lost about a week. Really, they could have had this done in about 7 days. But you can see here, this is his third deal that he sold since joining. And he gave me a lovely review here. Highly recommend Gary Walker, who has over a decade of experience in the industry. And this is the 3K hitting his bank account. Again, we're not just talking about it. These are real results. We're really actually doing this. We're not just talking about it in theory. We're taking action. And for those of you who maybe speak to me often, in the DMs and things like that, know that that's me. That's my character. Very proactive. We're not going to sit on this strategy. We're getting up every day and we're doing what's necessary, which isn't actually too much, to be honest, but we're doing what's necessary to keep the cogs turning and put us in a position to sell one or two, or in some people's cases, more of these deals per week to hit that 10K mark with no issues, right? So that was Shah. And we also had Denise. Some of you guys might have remembered Denise from the last masterclass I spoke about. I think she actually joined couple of weeks prior to that, maybe a month before that. But anyway, at that time, she had already sold her first deal within the first month of joining, made that 3K. It only took her 3 days to make that 3K, by the way, which again, like I said to you guys earlier, the turnaround time for making money in this business can kind of vary. It could be super quick, 3 days, 1 day, a matter of hours. This all kind of stems off of building that really powerful investor list and having those relationships with those clients because they trust you enough to make that happen so quickly, right? When they don't know you and you're a stranger, even when the deal seems good, people take their time because they're kind of like trying to feel you out and the deal. But remember, we've already gone through that process before we even started looking at deals, right? So again, when Denise sent this deal out to her investor, this was someone she already built a relationship with. So it was very easy for her to generate that interest and get them through the doors. As you can see here, 3K in 3 days. This is the money hitting her account. So £3,000. Again, we're showing you in real time that this is real, rather than just talking about it. She found um, those investors that took these deals from her in the free Facebook groups using the same strategy I'm about to show you. And she also secured the deals from the free resources that I'm going to show you. Whether I know there's about 3 deals in here, right? So she's got the one here where she sold and was paid within 3 days, made 3K. And then shortly after that, she sold another 2. She actually sold those 2 deals in about 31 minutes. When she says sold, she means as in sent them out, and within half an hour, she had 2 people ready to go, view them, interested. And it only took her a couple of days for the deals to be done and dusted. And as you can see here, she got paid another 5,500. This literally took her a couple of days, 5K in less than a week, right? So again, it's just showing you what's possible, guys. You know, once you know exactly what you're doing. So that was Denise. This is Marhen. We've already spoke about Marhen, so I won't spend too much time on him. But again, this was Marhen, first 3 weeks of joining, made his first 3K. You can see here, morning Gary, investor has paid, first milestone achieved. You know, he talks about thanks for the one-to-one guidance you're giving me every single step of the way. We literally spoke every day whilst he was working on this deal. Same as everyone, to be honest, in the program, because we offer 24/7 support, real 24/7 support, as in you got an issue at 1 a.m., message me. I'm probably awake and I'm probably going to be able to respond. We also jump on support calls every day, Monday to Friday. So I was really, you know, in the mix of what was happening as it was happening, as I am with most of these deals. So it was very good to see someone start from scratch and be able to do this, you know, so quickly. Also, I have to mention, because I'm pretty sure there's some people on the call who are in a similar position. Denise, Marhen, who else have I spoken about? Shah, Karan. These are all people who are working full-time jobs when they came and started working with me, by the way. So they're actually getting these results, making these types of fees, right, in ridiculously short spaces of time, whilst working full-time and still being paid their full-time wage, right? So it's crazy. We have so many people in the program who came on board working full-time, and they're using the money that they've made from deal sourcing to quit their jobs and start building portfolios. We have loads of guys in the group who have started building their own portfolios using the funds they've made from sourcing. So it is really powerful once you know what you're doing, right? So that's Marhen. We also have Milani, another example. Milani's a young gentleman. I love when the younger guys get involved as well, and they, you know, because it just shows, right? For you, I mean, Milani's maybe in his early 20s, I believe. So to be so on the ball and have your own business, be making, in this one, he made 2,500 within that week, because he gave them a little bit of a discount just to get it across the line. But, you know, whilst working full time as well. So to make probably what your monthly wage is, there or thereabouts, and still be paid your monthly wage, it's crazy, right? But this is all because he knows exactly what he's doing. He knew where to find those clients. He knew what to say, how to qualify them. He knew how to build the network, how to secure the deals directly, how to put it all together, and ultimately get this deal done and dusted in about 7 or 8 days, with no problems, and then go on to sell more deals afterwards, right? So that's Milani. We also have Kent and Karan. So we spoke about Karan earlier, I think, on one of the first ones. But again, this is another example of him selling more deals. He partnered up with one of the other mentees. So Kent and Karan, they are both members of the program. They put their heads together and they managed to sell 4 rent-to-rent deals in one go, which paid them 10 grand. You can see here where they was paid the 7,500 after all the contracts and everything was done. And then it was like a week later, the remaining 2,500 was paid. They put their heads together and they made this happen without spending a penny. So what happened was Kent actually secured the deal directly, or the deals, because it's 4 rent-to-rent HMOs. So Kent secured them directly from a landlord using a free group, actually a free WhatsApp group as it goes. But I mean, same sort of thing, whether you're getting them from free Facebook groups, a free WhatsApp group, from Gumtree, from Facebook Marketplace, from Preloved, from The Loot, wherever you're getting that landlord from, you're able to communicate with them directly. So that's what he done. Ended up jumping on a call and secured the deals after a little bit of back and forth, got all the paperwork done. And it just so happened that him and Karan was already in communication, because as you can see, this is not the first bunch of deals they've sold together since they joined the program. They've actually sold deals together previously. So Karan sent the deals out to his investor list, as we do. He done his follow-up calls, as we do. Lo and behold, there's someone on the list that is interested in all 4. Because, by the way, this was one investor. So this one investor took the 4 deals and paid them the 10K. So yeah, they just put their heads together and managed to create £10,000. Being honest, I know it sounds crazy, but out of thin air, you know, all Kent done was speak to a landlord that he found in a free group. All Karan done was speak to investors that he found in free Facebook groups and obviously create that relationship, qualify them, etc. But that's all they've done. They haven't had to pay for advertisement to end up speaking with these people, or Kent didn't have to put money into those rent to rent deals to secure them. He secured them just using the tactics that I've given, the paperwork that I've given, which is all essentially free, right? You're not having to put any money into that. That deal is sold to your investors and you just get paid in the middle. So this is why deal sourcing for me is like one of the most powerful strategies, the easiest way to start making lump sums without you having to put your money in, as we're seeing. So that's Kent and Karan. I can see there's a few new people on the call. Welcome, guys. I know you're a little bit late, but don't worry. This is all being recorded, so you can watch it from the beginning. But if you have just joined, just let me know whether you can hear me okay, you can see me okay. I just want to make sure everyone can still hear everything okay. Just let me know in the chat, guys. Hey, Darren, I can see Darren's jumped on. I can see Adina has to shoot off. No worries, Adina. And also, Dave asked a question. So he said, is it better to find private landlords on Gumtree or on Facebook groups? I've tried using Gumtree for a while and only one responded to me out of roughly 10 I messaged. Well, first things first, Dave. Is it better to find private landlords on Gumtree or Facebook groups? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. There's not really a better way, to be honest. I think we've got deals from both, so it's difficult to really answer that. I would say just do both. I wouldn't advise you to do one because it's better than the other, if that makes sense. They're both powerful methods that you can use to get in contact directly with landlords that are advertising their own properties, because that's essentially what you're looking for. So any classified website or platform, which basically means anywhere that someone can advertise something themselves, i.e. their property for rent, you want to be on there speaking to landlords directly and securing deals from them directly, because now you have control of that deal. You can sell it on, and if you're selling it directly to your investors, like I'm showing you guys, you're going to walk away with that full £3,000. Even if you don't sell it directly to your investors, you sell it to, I don't know, you co-source with somebody who has the investor, you're still walking away with £1,500 and you are not putting a penny in. So yeah, I would use both of those avenues to secure landlord deals personally, because we see that both work, right? You also said I tried using Gumtree for a while and only one person responded to me out of roughly 10 I messaged. Okay, well, firstly, messaging 10's not enough, nowhere near enough. Not even scraping the barrel, if I'm being completely honest with you. I could probably message 10 people in like 10 minutes. So it's not enough. If I was to say to you, I want you to put 45 minutes to an hour into contacting people, you're going to reach way more than 10. And that's really what you want to be doing, right? If you're doing that once or twice a week, you're going to secure deals regularly every week, to be honest. If you're doing it, if you're consistent like we are. And also, in terms of messaging, there's nothing wrong with messaging, but I'm a much bigger fan of phone calls, right? So what we do is, on our call out sessions to landlords, I get on the phone. So you asked the question about like what's the better way to get landlords, Facebook groups or Gumtree, right? And like I said, I wouldn't say there's one that's necessarily better, but my preference, what I like to use probably more, is Gumtree. And the reason why is because the landlords put their phone numbers, and I like to be able to get on the phone. I like them to hear my voice, hear I'm a real person. I like to be able to handle objections in real time. And it's just, I'm sure you guys know, you can't beat building rapport with someone and breaking the ice with someone. You can't beat doing that with them on the phone. Other than, of course, being with them in real life, in person, the next best thing is going to be speaking with them on the phone. So I like to use Gumtree. So those 10 messages you sent, if any of those landlords were advertising their phone numbers, give them a call maybe. Give them a call instead, and mention the fact that, oh, hey, look, I actually messaged not too long ago. I'm not too sure if you saw it, but I came back and I checked. I saw the property was still available. Just following up, what's the situation with it? And then you can start the conversation that way. But I much prefer just getting on the phone personally. So maybe give that a go. And you definitely have to message more than 10 people. It's not enough for you to, it's not like if you was trying to get some sort of analytics, I suppose you could call it, or some sort of data from how many messages you're sending out, the responses you're getting. 10 wouldn't be enough for you to do that test properly, if you see what I mean. You need to be, maybe message 100 people, and then kind of look at it that way, which is obviously very easy to do because Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace, the groups, there's so many landlords, so you can actually message a lot of people. But yeah, just more conversations will generate more leads, essentially. And of course, making sure you're saying the right thing. I'm not too sure what you're saying in these messages as well. Maybe that's something you can tell me, Dave. What are you saying in those messages? But yeah, more than anything, need to be speaking with more people, definitely. Okay. Okay. I'll wait for you to respond to that, Dave, and I'll give you some more information. But whilst we're doing that, we'll keep going. So we've got Miriam here. So the last one we spoke about was Kent and Karan with the 10K. We've got Charlie here, sold his first deal within 4 weeks of joining the program, working with me. Charlie made 40 grand in his first 5 months of joining the program. Absolutely crushed it. You can see here, first deal wrapped up, guys. Just finishing my 4th week. Pretty good going. So he made that first 3K. He said lots of help with you. And yeah, I mean, as much as I don't want to sound like I'm like blowing my own trumpet, but genuinely, this is my whole approach. Like, as you're working through the deals, you've got someone there that you can literally reach out to at any stage. And I think that helps these guys as well get these results so quickly because, of course, if they didn't have anyone to reach out to, they'd have to figure it out on their own. And in a lot of cases, that's why some people end up giving up because they're kind of like hitting that brick wall. There's no one to show them how to get over it or get around it. So they just turn around and go home, essentially, right? But yeah, Charlie smashed it. And as you can see here, this was another it's another week that he sold some more deals. He sold another deal that week, and you can see here I said that's got to be 10K this month, surely. He said yes, mate. Normal month, to be honest. Sold 4 in the past 7 days. So again, Charlie's another person where 10K per month is very normal. We also have Miriam. I hope you guys can still see this in the background. Just give me a signal if you can, guys. Just give me a yes in the chat if you can still see my screen. Okay, right now I've got Miriam up in the background. So just let me know if you can see that. Can everyone see that okay? Perfect. Stephen, thanks, Stephen. De Quincy, perfect. Okay, so this is Miriam, another one of my superstar mentees, apologies. Give you a good story about Miriam actually as it goes. So Miriam actually joined my free deal sourcing challenge that I'd done in 2020. I want to say it was beginning of 2023, maybe. She joined. She was one of the people that joined, and we actually had a ton of people that joined that program sell their first deal. That challenge, sell their first deal during that challenge. Right. This was before they, decided whether they wanted to work with me, properly. Just kind of like every day, I'd done a daily challenge call within. It was on Facebook. This was actually before the free school group was created. So on Facebook, I'd done that. And yeah, literally just off of me getting on and giving them that daily support, we done daily Q&As. I've done a daily training, so kind of like shared my screen, went through everything on Facebook, on Google, on whatever it was we're doing, and just gave them a kind of a taster of what it's like to be on the program, right? And she sold her first deal. She was one of the people. There was about 7 or 8 people on there that sold their first deal during that challenge, which was crazy. And all 7 of them joined the program, including Miriam. And she just went on to absolutely crush it. And as you can see here, this was a good while after she joined, but she actually had her first £10,000 week. So she's £10,000 month. She's been crushing it. We're actually at the kind of like 20K per month mark with Miriam and a few of the others that joined around a similar time. But this was her first 10K week, which is obviously crazy, right? You speak about people wanting to just replace their income, 3K a month, 2K a month. And then you have Miriam doing this, which was crazy, absolutely crazy. It's the only word I can really think of to use, right? So absolutely amazing. And one of the things I love about this message was the fact that we had spoken about why or what stopped her from selling more deals, because there was more deals in the pipeline, there was more opportunities, right? Again, we was on these support calls every day while she was doing this. Um, and one of the things that she mentioned, as you can see here, was just about her needing to have her systems in place and kind of maybe start bringing on building a team. So we started working on that. We've been working on that for a good while, to be honest, probably since this message. And now Miriam has a good team. I put a video out, which you guys all have access to as well, where I broke down how you can use virtual assistants to operate this business and scale this business if you're in a situation like Miriam, where she was selling a lot of deals and many others. But I'm just using Miriam as an example. But where they're selling a lot of deals and it's actually becoming a bit too much for them to handle. It's a good place to be in, to be honest, right? Good situation. I was there myself, and I had to go out and, you know, I didn't have someone to find or kind of guide me in terms of what to do to find VAs and how to kind of like manage them and just build that infrastructure. But obviously, I've given that to these guys and absolutely crushing it now. So 10K week was actually, you know, as crazy as it sounds, that's quite normal now. She's doing those types of numbers, and many of the other guys are as well. But again, it just leads back to that whole following that structure, you know, having a solid investor list, you know, picking the right areas to cover, having a solid network so deals are constantly being sent, having a good system in place for securing deals directly as well, and then understanding how to operate this whole thing without you physically being there and still being able to make this money. Because by the way, this is a 10 grand week without her seeing one of those properties or meeting one of those people, right? Same as every other example I've just shown you above. So it is really powerful once you know exactly what you're doing. So that was like a really good example. We've got my client Zara here, another really good example. This was a 10K month she had. You can see she got paid for deal number 5 and then sold another deal pretty much straight after. We're selling our deals for 3K each. So you can kind of do the maths. Zara's actually won a couple of the top sales or saleswoman awards in our program for selling the most, making the most money. I was running those competitions and she won them a couple of times, so done really well. And again, started from scratch. So really, really powerful. And I'll whiz through the rest of these guys because I'm sure you're kind of getting the point. There's so many of them, but I'll kind of whiz through these so we can um get into the actual strategy itself. So very quickly, we also had Rihanna and Naif. So there was a couple that joined the program together, lovely couple, and they managed to make 12 grand within their first 2 months of working with me and joining the program. You can actually see here where Rihanna came back and kind of updated us, or updated the group, I should say. I mean, I was speaking with her, but guys, just be careful. Someone's playing with the screen. Just try not to play with the screen, guys. Just let me keep control of it, and then it won't get all messy. Okay, so yeah, so basically they managed to sell 2 deals that week when they posted this, and 3 deals the month before, and they had actually only. So this post was from, I believe, February, January or February, and you can see here they only joined the program in December, and they'd managed to make 12 grand already. So 2 of the deals were co-sourced, and 3 were direct. And as I mentioned to you guys earlier, we're selling our deals for 3 grand each. And if they're co-sourced, we're sending them for 1,500. So if you do the maths, they sold the 2 co-sourced deals, they made 3K, 1,500 each. And then the 3 direct deals, they made the £3,000 on each one. So they made 9 grand just on those 3, and that was in 2 months of working with me, probably slightly less than 2 months, to be honest, but crazy results, absolutely crazy results. Again, we talk about, you know, wanting to just replace your income. I mean, this is pushing on to what people are making in a year, right? In a lot of jobs, they've just done that in less than 2 months. So really powerful once you know what you're doing. Let me quickly whiz through these because I know they're taking a little bit longer. Tarun, another example, 4 sales in 4 days that made him 4 grand. Again, starting from scratch, you can see here. We also had Harry. I mentioned to you guys earlier about some of the examples of people selling deals really quickly, like ridiculously quickly. Harry's another example. You can see here he sold a deal within 2 hours of receiving it. This was an investor that actually purchased a number of deals from Harry prior to that, since he joined the program. So Harry's been selling a lot of deals since he joined anyway. And then he went and broke the record and done this, which was crazy, right? It's like, surely that's a record, which it was, to be honest. And then we've got Samir, another example, sold multiple deals and still smashing it, selling multiple deals since joining the program. You can see here, hi Gary, sold multiple deals using your system. Can't thank you enough, mate. Right? So I think you guys kind of get the picture. Give me a yes in the chat if you get the picture. Or do I need to show you some more? Let me know. Give me a yes in the chat if you can see exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're seeing that these are real people getting real results. They're showing you it's real money. They're showing you it hitting their account. And that's just like that's just me scratching the surface, showing you some of those examples. If you go on my Facebook and in the school groups and you like really have a good look, you'll see again we've got close to 200 examples like this of different people. So this works, guys. It works. My what I like to say is this works, but only if you work. And as cheesy as that probably sounds, it is true, because you have to put in a level of work, right? I'm not talking about 9 to 5 work. I'm talking about an hour a day. If you can sacrifice an hour a day, you can do this, you know? So, okay, good. I can see there's a few people saying they get it. You get the picture, which is good. Let me make sure I'm not missing any questions before we get into this. So, okay, so Dave said, I usually introduce myself first and I ask if they are open to a company let and inform them that we have a few investors interested. First mistake, Dave. When you're speaking with landlords, never say investors. Never describe your clients as investors, because just kind of like imagine yourself as the landlord, right? So remember, these landlords are not aware of what company let, rent to rent, etc. is. Usually, on a rare occasion, you will get a landlord that, for whatever reason, just knows about rent to rent. They know it, but the majority of landlords you're going to speak to have no idea what it is, doesn't know what it is, how it works, etc. They put the property on the market looking for a traditional tenant, right? So they've got a buy to let, they're just looking for a traditional AST, normal tenants. They was not looking for a company to rent the property and etc. etc. So I say that to say, when you say investors, when you position your client as an investor, sometimes that can confuse them, and confusion leads to scaring them off. You know, it's not necessarily that they're not interested in what you're proposing to them. It's that they are confused. They do not understand what it is, and 9 times out of 10, when someone's confused about something you're proposing to them, they're just not going to do it. All right. They won't necessarily take the time to figure out what it is you're trying to propose. You've confused me. I'm not interested. Let me stick to what I know, a traditional tenant that's just going to rent the house. So, first things first, try not to use investors when you're speaking with landlords. Say clients. So, my clients, and your clients are the companies that are going to rent these properties from the landlord long term. So, that's how you want to position them, right? So, okay. So, you introduce yourself first, which is spot on. You asked if they're open to a company let. Again, I stay away from using company let, corporate let, rent to rent, any of those phrases, because once again, those terms are investor terms. That's is investor jargon. These are the types of terms we use when we're speaking with investors, because they understand what we mean. And for a landlord, you want to use more simple explanations of what it is we're proposing. So rather than saying company let, I would just actually ask them, are you happy for a company to rent the property? As simple as that sounds, it's a lot easier for them to digest what it is I'm trying to say, right? When I say corporate let or company let or rent to rent, or they're like, what are we talking about here, right? I just want to let my property. I just want someone to rent my property. Okay, well, what I'm saying is, and this is probably a little easier for you to understand, is a company is going to rent the property. And when you position it like that, you notice that a lot more landlords say, oh, okay, oh, how does that work? right? They're a little bit more curious, because even though they don't fully understand what it is you're proposing, can a company rent your property is pretty, it is what it says on the tin, right? It's quite easy for you to kind of digest. Now they probably want to know the ins and outs of it, but it's pretty clear what it is we're trying to propose to them, right? So you just be careful with the wording. Okay, let me keep reading this. So you said, I tell them that we have a few investors interested. I tell them that if they are open, I put my number and ask them to call me at a certain time on weekdays. If they aren't, I ask them to respond with no. I try to make the message short and simple because I feel like 3 paragraphs, maybe I get rejected. Okay, don't overthink it. And honestly, I wouldn't. I would like 3 paragraphs, especially if you're talking about the initial message. Way too much. Way too much. You don't want to drown these people in information on that first bit of interaction. And actually, this is another reason why I prefer the phone, to be honest. Because on the phone, you can like go because you're having a conversation. But people don't really, especially a stranger, they don't want to read paragraphs from us. They don't know us. They don't even want to give us that time yet. But once we've got them on the phone, for example, and the ice is broken, they'll give you more time. They'll hear out what it is you're talking about. All right. So first things first, like I said, change those few words that you're using in terms, right? And cut down the message that you're sending them. In fact, Dave, so I can give you a little bit more help, what I'd like you to do is, I'm not going to do it for you now because it's on the masterclass, but after we get off the call, I'll have a look at it. I'd like you to copy and paste the exact messages that you're sending, or the exact message you're sending to these guys, so I can see a little bit clearer exactly what it is you're saying, and I can maybe give you some guidance on it. But I can, just from what you've told me already, I can see there's tweaks that need to be done, right? So I hope that's helpful. Let me know. Does that make sense, Dave? Okay. And then De Quincy said, you bring me a 10K week, I straight up give you half for the whole month of churn. Mate, I don't want half. That's the thing. I don't want half. I want you to keep your 10K, right? My whole thing is that if I help you, it's a win-win, because hopefully you'll talk about the fact that I've helped you. And then other people who are considering working with me, that gives them peace of mind. And that's really why I'm so transparent about the results that we get, because I just want everyone to have peace of mind. I don't want to, rather than me shouting about what we do and like just telling you, I like you to be able to see in real time that it's real, right? So like, again, I wouldn't even want to take half of your money. I would prefer for you to keep your 10K and shout from the rooftops about who you learned it from, who helped you, etc. Yeah. And then of course, if there's anything more that I can do to help you, then we will. So who's that? Mel. Okay, Mel, don't worry, I've muted you. So yeah. Okay, De Quincy. All right, let's keep going. Nick said, is this recorded? I've got to leave. Yes, it is. It's recorded. It's being recorded. It will be uploaded either later tonight or tomorrow. So don't worry. Okay, Dave said, I'll send you a DM on school. Yes, send it to me on school, Dave, and I will give it a little free audit for you and let you know what you need to change. Okay, cool. I think everyone gets the picture in terms of the results. Let's keep going, right? So Nick said, where do we find the recording? It will just be in the group, Nick, in the free school group. So once I post it in the group, and it should be emailed to you guys as well if you're part of the free group. But if not, then just keep a lookout, or shoot me a DM on school. For all of you that are on the call, if I can see there's some people who've joined a little bit later. If you want me to remind you that the replay's been uploaded, because for whatever reason you might not see it, just shoot me a DM from now, and then I can send you a reminder when it's there, because you've kind of jogged my memory to remind you. Yeah, so just shoot me a DM on school. Gary, I'm on the live masterclass. Send me the replay, please, and then I'll remember to send it straight over to you. Okay, guys. Okay, cool. Let's take a quick look at the funnel that we're using, right? So you just saw all those results. What was that, about 10? I think 10 or so results I just showed you there. Barely scraping the barrel, but just enough for you to see how powerful this strategy is. And every single one of those people I've just shown you are using this exact strategy. There's nothing different they're doing. There's not someone, doing this strategy, but chucking a little bit of this in there and a bit. No, they're all doing exactly what I'm about to show you and getting these results, as you've just seen. 10K weeks, 3K weeks, 10K months, 20K months, 40K in less than 6 months. Like, crazy, just using this, what I'm going to show you. Okay, so guys, shall I go through the whole process for you now? Give me a yes if you would like me to go through this process for you, so it's clear. We'll also answer any questions that you have about it, but I just want to make sure that everybody's tuned in and you're not missing it. So give me a yes, just a yes, guys, please, and just a yes. Darren, yes, thanks, Darren. Stephen, thanks, Stephen. Just give me a yes, guys. There's 10 of you in the room now. Show me some energy. Alex, thank you, Alex. Also, guys, apologies. As I've been speaking, my voice may have been cutting out a little bit. I've got a cold. I've caught a cold from the little one, but I'm trying to work with it. So hopefully you can still hear me okay. DeQuincy, yes, thank you, DeQuincy. Okay, cool. That's enough. That's enough people for me to get started, right? So, like I said, this is the funnel. Now, for those of you who have watched the last month's masterclass, I did use this same breakdown on that presentation. So, of course, it's going to sound similar, but the reason why I'm still using it is because for me, this is like the perfect visual representation of this strategy. Like, it literally shows you exactly what we're doing, and as simple as it looks, is as effective as it is, right? So let's start from the beginning. We're going to start with the foundations and then we'll move on to the actual process. So as you can see here, can everyone see this clearly? Do I need to zoom in or zoom out or anything? Can everyone see the foundations and the process? Just let me know. Give me a yes if you can see everything, okay? Can everyone see this? Facebook groups, hide. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, guys. Okay, perfect. So we'll start with the foundation. So the first thing you should be doing, and by the way, guys, this is all in order. So when you're laying these foundations, you shouldn't be starting with motivated landlords or qualified investors or the network or hide them up. Please do it in order. And I know that probably sounds like, oh, Gary, we're not kids. Of course, we're going to do it in order. We're not silly. We can see it on the screen. But there's been so many people that I've spoken to after these presentations that I've put out. And for whatever reason, we end up speaking again and I'm asked, oh, how's it going? And as you guys have seen, I'm quite good at asking the right questions to figure out what's going wrong and what's going right. And I very quickly figure out that you're not even following what I've shown you to do. I've told you to do it in a certain order, but rather than joining the free Facebook groups first, you've gone straight to starting to speak to letting agents. And it's like, why? When I'm telling you that this is the way that these guys above and all the other hundreds of people that you've seen on my Facebook and in the groups and stuff, this is what they've done. They didn't do it in like a different order. They've done it literally like this, right? So please, please do it in this order. It's just going to make your life easier, right? Because the thing is, if you do it in the wrong order, you end up having to go back and do the things that you were supposed to do anyway. For example, you go and start speaking to agents and securing deals. What do you need now? You need buyers, don't you? So you're going to have to go all the way back to finding the buyers, going in the like doing everything in the wrong order, and then if you can't find the buyer quick enough, you lose the deal. Now you've lost the relationship with that landlord or that agent, and you could have avoided all of that by just having the buyers up front, as an example, right? So let's go through it together. And if there's anything anyone's unsure about, please just write in the chat, and I'll stop and I'll deep dive into it if we need to. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat at the same time, so please use it as much as possible. So we'll start off with the free Facebook groups. So you heard me mention at the beginning of the call that for me, Facebook groups are gold mines, right? There's so many reasons why. In fact, we'll go. So what we're going to do is, as we go through the foundations and the process, we'll kind of go back and forth to each point. So as you can see here, the first part of the foundations is the free Facebook groups, and straight down here, we can see the free Facebook groups, the reasons why we're covering free Facebook groups, why it's important to be in those groups. Well, the first things first is that Facebook has the biggest rent-to-rent community online by far. By far. I've done the research for you. You don't even need to do it, right? I've looked on LinkedIn. I've looked on Instagram, I've looked on Snapchat, I've looked on TikTok, I've looked everywhere. And although yes, there is a presence of rent to rent on those other platforms, nothing like Facebook. You know, we've got groups in Facebook where, as an example, you can see this one right here. This is actually smaller than what this group is now. This group's in the like 40,000s now. But on here you can see 36,000 members in a rent to rent group, right? And there's literally hundreds of these groups. I'm in over 120 rent to rent groups on Facebook, just to put it into perspective for you, right? So it's really important for you to be there. That's where everyone is. That's where your buyers are. That's where some of your sellers are. That's where the people that can provide the deals for you are. So you need to be there. So biggest community, biggest rent to rent community by far is on that platform. So it just makes sense for you to be there. Of course, the groups are free. The platform itself is free, but also the data and the information that's inside those free Facebook groups is free, right? As I said, thousands of members. We also have years of valuable data. So what I always say to people is, you know, when you're in these groups looking for example, investors or trying to figure out which areas you're going to cover or whatever it is, co-sources, landlords, however it is, people always say to me, "Oh, Gary, you know, I saw a post, but it's it's from years ago, so I'm not too sure if I should reach out," or they just don't reach out, full stop. And I say, well, the fact that you're doing that tells me you don't understand how much of a monster Facebook is, right? Facebook is such a monster that you might see a comment, for example, from someone today or a post from someone today that was from 3 years ago, right? For example, and you would assume that, okay, that person posted that ages ago, years ago. There's no way they're still looking for a deal, or there's no way they're still selling deals, right? But what you don't realize is that you've seen that, but in another group that you're not in, because remember, as I said, I'm in over 120 rent to rent groups, right? And there's loads that I'm still not in. Um, but in another group that you're not in, that same person commented 10 seconds ago saying, I'm still looking for a deal or I'm still selling deals or whatever it is, right? But because Facebook's so big and you're not in every single corner of it, you don't see that. So you miss out on that client because you're making the assumption based on the old post you saw. Whereas my approach is, we're going to message you no matter how old the post is, no matter how old or new it is, because the worst that you're going to be able to say to me is, no, I'm not looking anymore, or no, I'm not selling deals anymore, right? So very, very important that you understand that it doesn't matter how old or new posts are, but also you have years of valuable data within these groups because of that, right? Also, there's new opportunities every single day. I own the Deal Sources United Facebook group. If you guys are part of that, you know. We have what, almost 7,000 members currently, strictly based on rent to rent. And although I don't manage it myself, my VA manages it, but I'm in there. I'm very active. I'm checking, I'm looking, I'm seeing what's posted, and I'm in there commenting and things like that. And but in terms of the amount of posts that are put into these groups every day, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like literally every day there are new deals, which breeds new investors, which means new co-sources that you could potentially work with, and it goes on and on and on and on, right? But you only have that potential to tap into that data, that valuable data, and connect with those people in those groups and have access to those opportunities if you're in these groups, right? So it's very, very important that you get that right first. And that's the first part of the process and laying your foundation. So I want to get an idea of where everybody's at with that actually. Let me know in the comments, guys. Just roughly, you might not know the exact number, but I would like to know. I mean, I've got 10 people on the call right now. I'd love to know how many rent to rent Facebook groups you're in right now. Just let me know in the chat. Give me an idea. If you don't know the exact number, just give me a rough idea, and specifically rent to rent groups, guys, because that's really important. Of course, you can be in loads of just Facebook groups, but are the people that you need to be in contact with in those groups, right? They're all going to be in the rent to rent group. So I want to specifically know about those. So just give me an idea. Let's see. Okay. So Darren is in 40 to 50, which is very good. Very good, Darren. Well done. Stephen's in 25 to 30. De Quincy's in 20 to 30. Alex is in 50 odd. Okay, so you guys are in a good amount of groups. Definitely a good amount of groups. I would definitely suggest joining more. The more groups you're in, the better. As you guys will know, when you go into your Facebook, you will see on your feed, based on the groups that you're in, a ton of information is actually quite valuable. Like as soon as I go into Facebook, I see loads of rent to rent deals that have been posted, and I can literally straight away see investors that have commented, and like there's so much different bits of info I can see just because I'm in those groups. This is before I even start searching for the info. So it's very important that you're in those groups. You guys are in a lot of groups, which is really good. But I would definitely say try and join more. Try and join as many as you can, but specifically rent to rent groups, right? Not just property groups. Of course, it's good to be in property groups as well, because of course there probably is some people floating around that are interested in those strategies as well. But if we want to really get down to the nitty gritty, we need to be in those rent to rent niche specific groups, right? Okay, cool. And De Quincy said, sorry, had family over. From all I have watched so far, the order and also the community is key, 100%. It's Your message is going. Where's it going? Can you go over qualifications of everyone we should speak to? Essential points we should know from those we choose to put into our network, our investor network, our co-sourcer network. We're going to go through all of that. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We're not at that stage just yet, but we are going to go over that in a second. So currently, because we're going to work our way through, and this again goes back to what I was saying, De Quincy, can't rush the process, right? And this is where a lot of people go wrong. They kind of want to miss out the really important parts, like, are you in enough Facebook groups in the first place? Remember what I said, they are gold mines. So if you're rushing straight to just, investors, etc., are you even giving yourself enough access to enough investors for you to build that powerful list? And the way to give yourself the access is to be in the groups in the first place, right? So everything has a knock-on effect. Like, I'm a person, I don't really like to do things just for the sake of doing them. So this strategy and the order that it's in is all intentional. You get into the Facebook groups, now you have access to the information that's going to let you pick the areas, the investors to find the qualified ones, the network, even some landlords and things like that, right? So we'll start with the Facebook groups first. Make sure that you're in them, all the right ones. There are so many. Like I said, I'm in over 120, and just the other day when I was doing an exercise with the guys, we was going through the Facebook group section, and I realized there's there's tons that I'm still not in. I thought I was in most of them, but there are loads, and they keep popping up all the time because rent to rent is huge and it's still growing, right? This is something you have to remember as well. At the moment, rent to rent is a big craze. Well, I wouldn't even say a big craze because it's been going on for quite a while, many years, right? But I think at the moment, just because of like the whole social media aspect, it's really growing. Like there's more and more people getting involved in this business, which is of course good for us because the more investors that want to get involved because of how low the barrier to entry is, um the better for us, the more deals we can sell if we're in contact with them, and so on and so forth. So I just want to make sure that you guys have everything in order so that it just makes things a lot smoother for you. Yeah. So we're going to go over those points in a second, De Quincy, definitely. But let me make sure I'm not missing any more before I move on. Okay. Dave said he's in about 5, but not too sure how to use it to find good deals. Okay. Don't really need to use it to find good deals. It's more about the people that you can find in it, to be honest. The deals come off the back of the people. So I don't want to go into these groups and find deals. I want to go into these groups and find people that can provide deals for me. Because I can go into the group and find the one deal that you've posted, Dave, and focus on that deal, or I can come into the group and find you and create a relationship with you. So now that every time you have a deal, I'm aware of it and you're in my network now. So don't worry too much about finding the deals from the groups, it's the people. Does that make sense, Dave? Do you see what I mean? Let me know in the chat. Okay. Okay. And De Quincy said, started today, sorry. Um, I hear what you're saying. Get to the groups, understand what is going on, build rapport step. But yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, but I'm gonna go through it all now so that everything's super clear. Okay. So as I said, guys, please try not to press anything on the board. Let's try and keep it nice and smooth. Yeah. Okay. Where are we? So we started off with the Facebook groups. What's 1 second, guys? I don't know what's happening with the screen. Okay. Can everyone still see the screen? Okay. Just give me a yes if you can. And if you're playing with this, like trying to, I don't know, zoom in or play with the screen, please just avoid playing with anything. Just let me know, and then I can either zoom in or zoom out. Because if you play with the mouse on the screen, for some strange reason, Zoom allows you to move things on the presentation. So it's better to just tell me in the chat, and then I can zoom in or zoom out if we need to. But I'm from what everyone's saying, I'm gonna assume everyone can see it. Okay. So first things first, free Facebook groups, as we discussed, straight on to high demand areas. Now, because we're in those free Facebook groups, we have access to the data that allows us to find the high demand areas. So let me just scroll down to the high demand areas section. Just bear with me, guys. Moving a little bit sluggish now for some strange reason, but just give me 1 second. So high demand areas. So here we are. So high demand areas. So we're able just give me 1 sec. Let me get it back up on the screen. Appreciate your patience, guys. Just give me 1 second. Where are we? Okay, here we are. Okay, I'll zoom in a little bit for you as well. No worries. High demand areas. So let's zoom in. Is that a bit better? Just give me a yes if that's okay. Is that clearer on the screen? It's nice and big on my screen. Hopefully it's the same on your side. Is that clear? It says high demand areas. Use the free data in the groups to quickly pick based strictly on demand and engagement, not logistics. Can you guys see that? And there's a comment, a screenshot of a comment from someone called Usman, interested in Manchester. Just give me a yes if you can see that, guys. Yeah, everyone can see that. You're not seeing it? Okay, let me zoom. Okay, some people are. Okay, De Quincy, you're the only one saying you can't see it for some strange reason. Everyone else seems to be able to see it. So just maybe refresh your page or come in and out. But so yeah, so the high demand areas, which is the second part of the foundations, right? So of course, we are now able to pick the areas we're gonna focus on moving forward. So you focus on 3 areas maximum. I believe it's just easier to dominate and manage when you've got less areas to focus on. We've actually got people in the program that are crushing it with just one area. So I don't think there's anything wrong with just picking one area and just doubling down on it. Because then all you need to do is focus on investors in that one area, co-sourcers in that one area, landlords in that one area, like everyone. Whereas if you've got 3 areas or the people that pick more than 3 areas, which I don't advise, you're now having to try and build a list in 4 different areas, 3 different areas, build the network, build the there's so much that goes into it when you're trying to juggle too much. I think 3 areas is easier to manage, but there's nothing wrong with going down to 1 or 2. So just keep that in mind. But you want to base it strictly on demand. So do not pick your areas based on, okay, that's 5 minutes down the road from me, or I know that area very well. I live there, right? do the market research, go into the free Facebook groups that you're in, type in the areas that you're thinking about picking, and you'll be able to see, like, for example, you type the area in, Facebook is literally going to bring up a list of all of the deals that have been posted in that area. For example, let's say we typed in Manchester, for example, we'll use that as that's what the screenshot is. We type it in the groups, we hit enter, it's going to bring up everything that's been posted associated to Manchester, which mainly is going to be rent to rent deals because we're in the rent to rent groups, right? And you'll be able to see from the amount of engagement each area is getting whether or not there's demand there, right? And being completely honest with you, to save you time, it's usually the bigger cities that gets the most demand. That's not to say you have to just focus on the bigger cities, because there are other cities as well, that actually do get quite a good amount of demand too. But you want to do that research, have a look, make a note of it, spend half an hour just going through, scrolling through each of the groups and doing a tally, you know. But you will be able to see for yourself firsthand, clear as day, okay, this area, whenever there's deals posted there, it gets a lot of comments, a lot of interest, a lot of likes. Whereas when this area gets posted, there's hardly anyone, if anyone at all, expressing interest, right? So that's going to allow you to pick the areas that you're going to focus on moving forward. Okay. The next step after picking your area, let me just zoom out slightly on that, is of course the qualified investor list, which again, like I said to you guys a number of times today, this is the backbone of your deal sourcing business, in my opinion, right? If you've got a qualified investor list and no deals, you can work with co-sourcers, you can work with estate agents, right? And they will provide the deals. But you got the buyers, so there's value there, right? You've got the clients, so you can still make things work. Whereas when you don't have the clients and you are just the person who has the deals, you have to scramble to find buyers, right? Because as I told you guys, you're on a timer. That landlord will get impatient, that agent will get impatient. Whereas the investors are going to sit on the list forever, right? You could literally not contact your investor list for 6 months, a year, and then come back and call all of them just to catch up and say, hey, look, sorry, I've been away for 6 months, a year, we haven't spoken in so long. It's just a quick one to see whether you're still looking for rent to rent deals in whatever area it is. And you'll be surprised that most of that list are still going to be looking for deals. This is where the value is. These are the people that are going to stick around for the long term. So the qualified investor list is super, super duper important. This is how those guys have all sold those deals, right? So in terms of the qualified investor list, let's go back down to that section. So you can see here, okay, Zoom's being a bit quicker now, which is nice. So qualified, everyone can still see my screen? Just give me a yes or a thumbs up or just some sort of signal that everyone can see that qualified investor list and the little breakdown with the screenshot. Can you see that, Stephen? Okay, perfect. Thanks, Stephen. So qualified investor list, you're going to find thousands of investors that are already looking for rent to rent deals in the areas that you decide to cover inside these free Facebook groups, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to contact them with a voice note. I prefer voice notes. I mean, that's not to say you can't send written messages. Of course you can. But I think in today's day and age, because people are so skeptical of everyone online, the whole scam outlook is just like, even when you're being 100% genuine, it's very easy to look like you're a scammer just because there's no human interaction. So this is why I'm like a big fan of voice notes. Let them hear your voice up front. You break the ice before they've even responded to you without you even realizing, right? Let them hear your character. Let them hear you're a real person. This isn't AI. This isn't a robot messaging you, right? This isn't just like a bulk blanket message being sent out. This is me going into your DM and saying, hey, hey, Daniel, how's it going? Hope you're well. Look, just saw your response on a rent to rent deal in Birmingham. Are you still looking for deals like that at the moment? Like something just as simple as that makes all the difference, right? So we want to be sending out as many of those messages to all the interested parties as possible. We want to qualify them on a quick phone call, either a phone call or a Facebook call. The reason why I talk about Facebook calls is because, again, we're strangers when we first reach out to these people. So some of them aren't even going to be open to giving you their phone number, being completely honest. But whenever that happens, and I can see that, oh, it's more because we're only just speaking, you don't want to give your details out, or you've had bad experiences with sources before who just took your number and wasted your time. So, okay, no problem. I say, okay, well, look, rather than jumping on a phone call, when are you free for just a quick Facebook call? If you look in the top right hand corner of our message right now, there's a little phone icon. If you press that, or if I press that, we can have an actual phone call, but without exchanging phone numbers. And then we can go from there. And again, every single investor that we do that with ends up giving us their phone number anyway and all the information we asked for by the end of the call, because the ice is broken, the rapport's built, that barrier is dropped, right? They've had that convo now, a bit of banter, a bit of character, you introduce yourselves properly, and now you kind of look different from just all the other sources that are just spamming their inbox, right? This is how you stand out. Someone actually asked me the question today, how do you stand out to investors? And I said, well, just build relationships with them, because most sources aren't doing that. Most sources are just trying to sell them a deal. That's it. That's the only focus. Of course, we want to sell them a deal. We want to make money too, but we make more and we sell more just because we've actually built a relationship with them. So there's an element of trust and familiarity every time we engage, right? So that's what you want to focus on. So we want to get them on that phone call, qualify them, add them to the list, and now you have all the information, their criteria, etc., etc. In terms of qualifying them, so the Quincy asked the question, what do you actually ask, right? So we actually have like a whole list, which I haven't put on here because, again, I don't think there's really a right or wrong way necessarily to qualify people. Qualifying someone is more about reassuring yourself that you even want to work with that person, but also just making sure that they're serious, they're in a position to move forward. If we can provide a deal that fits, getting an idea of what their experience is. So these are the kind of questions that you'll be asking. How many units do you already have, if any? How long have you been taking them on? What's your budget at the moment? As in, how much money are you able to put into each deal up front? Deposits, rents, sourcing fee, furniture, um, getting crystal clear on what their criteria actually is, because you'll get a lot of investors that will say, "Oh, I'll take a deal anywhere," and I never take that as an answer. I actually hate that answer, because you wouldn't take a deal anywhere. You will take a deal maybe in more than one place, but you're not going to take a deal anywhere. And ideally, what I want to know is, if you only could take a deal one place, where would that be? Because usually that's the place that you prefer. And that's what we want to focus on. Because remember, we're building our list specifically. I don't want to have a list of 10 people, but each of those people are looking in like loads of different areas. No, I want them all to be looking in this one city for rent to rent deals. Doesn't matter what type of rent to rent deals they're looking for or what part of the city. But if you're looking in London for a rent to rent deal, I want you on my list. Because as I mentioned to you guys earlier, people's ideas of deals change very quickly. Someone who says, I want rent to SA deals in London, Gary, that's all I'm interested in, has ended up purchasing rent to rent HMO deals in London from us as well. It happens a lot. So our whole thing is, the two non-negotiables are city type of deal, which is rent to rent, and the in between we deal with over time as we're communicating about the deals, and then you just allow them to tell you what actually fits when the right deal comes along. Yeah. But in terms of qualifying questions to help you out, the Quincy, I'll just run over those. We want to firstly be super clear on what their actual position is. So, are you an investor? Right? Actually ask the question outright. Are you an investor, or are you are you a sourcer? Just to be clear. And that's fine, by the way. If they are a co-sourcer, that's not a problem, because we need a network of co-sourcers in that area anyway. But we want to be clear on who's on our list, right? I don't want co-sourcers in my investor section, and I don't want investors in my co-sourcer section, for example, right? So these are the kind of questions we want to ask. Again, like I said, find out how quickly they can move. If I can provide a deal, how quickly can you actually take the deal on? What's your turnaround time? Put them on a hot seat a little bit, right? And get the answers. Now, what I might do, because as I said, I didn't actually put our qualifying questions list in the presentation. But what I might do is everyone, in fact, I am going to do it, not might. Everybody who sends me a DM now, whilst we're on the call or before the end of the call, just to let me know that they're on this masterclass, as a free bonus, this wasn't planned. This is, you can thank De Quincy. I'm going to send you a full breakdown or a full list qualifying questions just to give you guys that little bit of help for when you start having the conversations, right? And you can add your own questions to it as well if you want to, but I'll give you the ones that really matter, to be honest. So I hope that helps. On the right hand side, you guys can see here, I've got a screenshot. You can see Julie, Jane, and Handyman. So these are like just examples of what it looks like when you go into the Facebook groups, you type in your area, and you hit enter, and the list comes up of all the deals, and then you start looking in the comment sections of the deals, right? So when you look in the comment sections, you'll be able to actually see the people that are expressing interest, and this is who we want to be reaching out to, because potentially that's the investor that's going to buy a deal from you, or one of the investors that's going to buy a deal from you within a matter of days, right? And as crazy as that might sound, literally all of the examples I showed you above, the people that bought those deals from them are literally like what we're seeing here. This example, this is how they started off. They were just people that left comments underneath deals in that area, and they reached out. We reached out and had the conversation, and then they ended up buying deals. And like I've shown you, some of these guys end up buying multiple deals. Some of these guys end up buying block deals and spending 10, 20, 30 grand with us. But we find them in a free Facebook group just in the comment section like this. So it's very important that you're actually taking full advantage of this, because it's free. You know, I used to work in an estate agent, so I know firsthand how much money agents, traditional agents anyway, spend just to get themselves in front of landlords or potential buyers. And they spend a lot of money on advertising, right? We are literally just finding those same people, or the equivalent to what those people would be, for free on these platforms, right? So you have to really take advantage, which is literally what we're doing, and this is how we're getting those results. Okay, so that's the qualified investor list. So let's go back up to the foundations. Any questions at all, guys, as I'm going through that? Thanks, De Quincy. Yeah, shoot me a DM. I'm going to get that over to you. No worries. No problem. Just make sure I'm not missing any questions, guys. Can everyone see the screen? Sorry, I saw Steven said it was still a little bit too small. Is this okay, guys? Do I need to zoom in? Let me know. We haven't got much longer left, so just bear with me. I want to make sure you guys get everything. Yeah? So, okay. So, like I said, qualified investor list. So, again, very quick recap. Free Facebook groups, right? I don't know if I actually went over these steps, but let me just quickly give them to you. So, free Facebook groups. To find these Facebook group gold mines, we're going into the Facebook group section on Facebook, which is like it's like a little blue button with 3 little men in it. You should find it. It literally says it says groups, titled groups. Go into that section, start typing in the areas that you are thinking about. Actually, sorry. Let me rewind. You're not typing the areas in. To find the groups, we're typing in the phrases associated with rent to rent. So we're going into the Facebook group section and we're typing in rent to rent, for example. We're typing in rent to rent with the number 2. We're typing in R2SA. We're typing in R2HMO. So all this terms and phrases associated with rent to rent, you want to type them in one by one and hit enter. And again, Facebook's going to give you like a list of all of the groups, all of the rent to rent groups. And as I've told you, there's hundreds, literally. So just take your time, join them. Make sure you're in that really big one that I showed you. This is like one of the best rent to rent groups, in my opinion. There's a few that are like this sort of size, but this is one of my favorites. So make sure you're in that one, but join all the other ones as well. So that's the Facebook group. So now you're in the groups, you have access to all of that valuable data, right? Next, you're going to pick your areas. Like I said, if you have areas in mind, you can just type them in one by one in those groups that you're now in. Hit enter. So let's say I was thinking of London. I type London in, I hit enter, And I will literally be able to see just from scrolling through the group, through the list that Facebook's given me of London rent to rent deals, whether London's got demand. Is there comments? Is there engagement? Is there people expressing interest? You'll see it clear as day, you know. Like we can see here on this screenshot. Where is it? Right. So you'll see like people like Usman. Usually you'll see like loads of comments on the, of course, the bigger areas. So like Manchester, I'm interested in Manchester. So you'll see the engagement clear as day. You can see who's interested in what and what areas seem to be hot, right? So I want you to base it on that and actually take note of it. Yeah. And then decide which areas you're going to go with from there. Then the qualified investor list. So again, what we're going to do is go back into the free Facebook groups and the areas that you've picked. So if I pick London, I'm going to put London in the search box, hit enter, and then I'm going to be able to scroll through all of those posts, those rent to rent deals in London, and I'll be able to see which investors or potential investors are expressing interest in those deals. And of course, if they're interested in those rent to rent deals in that area, then there's no reason why they shouldn't be interested in my rent to rent deals in that area. So I just need to strike that relationship with them. And again, when you're scrolling through those groups, you're going to see all comments like this. Please, could I have details? Interested? Coventry, please. Like, it's clear as day. So you're just going to reach out to them with the message I gave you guys, whether it's written or voice note, and just start that conversation. Try and get them on a phone call as soon as possible. Try not to qualify them. And this is important. So let me cover this actually. I wouldn't qualify anyone in the DMs. So the whole point of building the list is we want to get those investors away from the platform as soon as possible. So when I send that initial message, so when I say, hey, De Quincy, how's it going? Hope you're well. Look, I saw your comment on a rent to rent deal in London. Just checking, he's still looking for deals like that. And then if De Quincy comes back to me and says, hey, Gary, yeah, I'm still looking for deals like that, I want to get him away from Facebook ASAP. I don't want to start asking him questions in the DM and qualifying him there. No, I don't want you in Facebook. Now that I know you're still looking for a rent to rent deal in the area I'm covering, I need your number. I need you on my list. I need your criteria. Like, I want to convert you into an actual client. Anyone that you're only communicating with on Facebook is not your client. You cannot class them as your client because you can't send them a deal and call them, for example. You can't email them. You can't text them, etc. So the minute De Quincy comes back and says, yeah, I'm still looking, I'm going straight back to him and I'm saying, perfect. Really good to hear you're still looking in the area. I'm actually sourcing there right now. And I can phrase this two different ways. I can either say, when are you free for a quick call? Just so I can go over how I can help you. Or if for some of the guys, they have specific days they like to do their calls. So let's say my day that I like to do calls is Wednesday. Are you free on a Wednesday afternoon by any chance? Just for a quick phone call so I can run you through how I can help, right? So I'm trying to get them away from the platform ASAP. As I said to you guys earlier, if they're a little bit standoffish with the whole phone call thing, clearly because we're strangers, they don't want to give their details out straight away, suggest a Facebook call. That is a way to get around that issue. There's no details needed. You don't need to give me your phone number. I don't need to give you my phone number. We can jump on a phone call, and 9 out of 10 people you speak to will just give you full information by the end of that call anyway, right? So make sure you're doing that. That's the qualified investor list. Now, moving on, the network. So now we've built the list, of course, we need to feed the list, right? Big mistake that a lot of sources make is they go straight from finding some investors to trying to find landlords directly. They completely skip out this really important part, which is this is the part that's going to help you gain momentum. Like my first couple of deals that I sold in 2011 were co-sourced. Most of the people that have joined my program and worked with me, their first couple of deals were co-sourced. A lot of them co-sourced with people inside the group, right? Or people they've added to their network with the way that I'm showing them. So the network is really important, especially the co-sourcing part, being honest with you. So the first thing I do when the investor list is built is I go straight to building your network of co-sourcers, right? We're going to do the agents after, but we'll start with the co-sourcers first, right? Reason being, just to be honest, is the co-sourcers have already done the heavy lifting. right? So if I connect with the Quincy and he's a sourcer that's already out there doing deals, securing deals, maybe he's just not putting the time and effort into building his investor list. He's one of these sources that focus mainly on just grabbing the deals and trying to sell them. So if I connect with him, now I'm in a position where every deal he secures, he can send to me. And I've got the buyers waiting to buy it. I don't have to speak to that landlord. I don't have to speak to that agent. I don't have to go back and forth with them and do the due diligence. Like I'm still going to look at the numbers, even though it's co-source and I'm not trying to secure it myself. But what I mean is I don't have to go back and forth with that landlord, putting forward the proposal and just all the legwork that you have to do when you secure the deal directly. Because the co-source has already done it. The Quincy is just going to send me the deal. It's ready. It's packaged. Gary, just sell it. So that's the easiest way for you to start making money in this business. And not even just to start making money. I mean, just in general, this is one of the parts of your business that's going to keep it ticking. You know, just as I explained to you that the investor list is important, I honestly believe your co-sourcer network is really important as well. And I think one of the reasons that people don't give it as much time and effort as it deserves is because people are quite impatient with people. And the problem is a lot of sources are not so great at communicating, right? Sometimes. But what I always explain to people is, and I've kind of drilled this into my guys in the program, is that you don't need to have hundreds of sources in your network for you to make good money and do deals. Even if you just had a handful of good sources, 5, 6 sources that communicate well, they're securing deals, they're covering the same area as you can crush it. Absolutely crush it. Because you guys put your heads together and there's more than enough opportunities, for you guys to do deals. So that's something that you have to put some time and effort into. And like I said, in terms of the actual foundations, that's the next step after building your list. Really important. So let me go down to the network section. So as you can see here, network, sources, and agents. So the quickest and easiest way to start selling deals / making money is to partner with other sources, as I just explained, right? You're going to find thousands of those sources that are operating in the same area as you inside those same free Facebook groups. So again, the gold mine is just producing more value, right? And here's an example. So these are like just random examples of sources that have been posting deals in the Facebook groups, right? So let's say I was covering Birmingham. That was my area. I typed Birmingham in the search box. I hit enter, and then I started scrolling through all the deals that have been posted. With the investor challenge, or with building the investor list like we was doing before, I'm reaching out to the people that have expressed interest in those deals in the comment section. But with the network building exercise, I'm reaching out to the actual people that posted the deal. So just let me know in the comments section, guys. You can still see my screen. Can you see Gladys and Stuart, the screenshot here? Can everyone see that? Because I want it to make sense what I'm saying. Can everyone see the screenshot of Gladys and Stuart here? Rent to SA Birmingham, rent to SA block deal. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Stephen, De Quincy, brilliant. Okay. So these are good examples because these are the people that you would be reaching out to. So anyone who's actually posting the deals, like what these guys have done in the groups, you would reach out. So I would actually reach out to Gladys. I would reach out to Stuart if they've posted deals in my area and just see if they're open to working with me. Tell them, look, I've got qualified investors in the area. All I need is some deals. What have you got at the moment? And are you open to working with me? And most sources will be, to be honest, because they're quite hungry. They want to get the deals done. They want to make money. So you want to connect with them. Like I said, you are going to probably have to speak to quite a few of them to find the good ones, but it is really worth it. It's worth it. Filter through them, have quick conversations, and yeah, it's definitely worth it because, as I said, this is going to literally halve your workload, just make your job so much easier. Yeah. So that's how you're going to find the actual co-sources. Like I said, find them in the groups, reach out. There's thousands of them. Honestly, there is no shortage of co-sources. In fact, there's probably more and more joining the business every day because of the amount of money there is to be made. So you actually have so much opportunity to partner with these guys and make money quickly. So you're going to find, where was we? Find thousands of co-sources in the groups. You split the £3,000 fee 50-50. So we take 1,500 each. And again, the deals are done really quickly, a matter of days. So the more good sources you have in your network sending you deals, the more deals you're sending out, the more interest you generate, the more viewings that happen, the more offers that come in, the more sales you get. And that is literally how it works, right? You can also find thousands of letting agents that are happy to pass you properties where the landlord is open to doing a rent to rent deal, or open to a company renting it. With, like I said, we never say rent to rent, but you know what I mean. They're open to what we're proposing, and we'll find those people on Google. So again, you can see here just a little screenshot. All we do is literally go on Google, type in small independent letting agents in Manchester, if that's the area, Birmingham, wherever, and hit enter. Google actually, again, similar to what Facebook does every time we do our little searches, it gives us a list. It literally chucks up a list. Now, I didn't actually get the screenshot of the list, but essentially, when you do it on Google, hit enter, scroll down, you will see a little section that says businesses, and it will have this little map, which you can see here. Now, all of these little pinpoints on the map are different agents around the city, right? This is like zoomed in, so it's not showing all of them, but you can see there's tons. Like when we do our call out sessions to agents, we literally have pages and pages of people to call. So there's so many opportunities, honestly, especially in the bigger cities, the Birminghams, the Manchesters, the Londons. Like you're never gonna call every single agent. It's just gonna take you forever, which is good because it just gives us more and more people to potentially partner with and do deals with. Similar to the co-sources, we don't need to have 1,000 good agents. We just need a handful of good relationships with agents so that they can send us opportunities. And that is it. And the easiest way to even start that process is to just get on the phone and start making phone calls to them. Find them on Google, like I said, give them a phone call, see if they're open to corporate lets, if that's something that they do, and kind of work backwards from there. We pay agents a referral fee. Some agents are quite clued up on rent to rent now, being honest with you. So they will actually want like a percentage of the fee or a significant fee, which is fine. You know, you have to negotiate. I mean, when we first started working with agents, we would only have to really pay them like a couple of £100. When I was first doing deals with agents, I was paying them like £150, £200, and they were fine with that because they're being paid by the landlord anyway. Right? A normal tenant wouldn't have paid them anything, right? So it's a little bit of extra money. But now, of course, over the years, agents are a little bit more clued up. So when they know that it's a company taking on the property, sometimes they want a little bit more. So that's something you can negotiate. You're being paid 3K. So, I mean, even if you paid them £500 to £1,000 for each deal, as long as you're not having to co-source and split the rest of the fee, you still walk away with 2K per deal. And again, like I said, that's only some agents. Most agents that you work with aren't going to want anything from you, to be honest. They're paid from their landlord and they just want the property filled and off their books more than anything, right? So yeah, that's how you're gonna start to build your network. Is everyone clear on that? Give me a yes in the chat if that was clear. If there's anything I need to go over in more detail, I can do that. But does everyone understand that? Do we understand how we go from building that qualified investor list to now building that network of co-sources and agents? So the co-sources are going to give us deals that are packaged already in our areas, ready to sell, and the agents are essentially going to give us leads, which is landlords that are open to a company taking the property on, which we can now package as a rent to rent and sell on to the investors. Is everyone clear on that? Does that make sense? Alex said yes. Darren, Stephen, De Quincy. Okay. Brilliant. 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 Okay. And De Quincy said, solid advice, just a bit of extra sauce, build relationships. And like you say, those that give it time and you get to talk to, great. The rest follow up. And if not a fit, well, don't let it stop. Yeah, 100%. I live by the worst they'll say is no. So I'm constantly advising the guys to just connect, reach out to investors, reach out to co-sources, reach out to landlords, reach out to agents, reach out to everyone that you need in this business. It's clear who we need. And the worst we're going to hear is no. And if it's no, that's fine. That's not a problem. Sometimes no doesn't even necessarily mean no forever. You might have an investor that said no at the beginning, but then all of a sudden now, months down the line, they're in the market again and they're happy to work with you and they buy a deal. So I'm fine with hearing no. You have to get comfortable and almost okay with hearing no, because every no is going to get you closer to that yes, essentially, right? Okay, let's keep going. So that's the network. And then finally, of course, is actually receiving deals or securing deals directly from the owner of the property, whether that's the landlord or a developer, if it's a big block or so we want to be securing deals directly as well as getting deals from our network. We want to kind of like do both simultaneously. That's when you really start smashing it. When you've got deals coming in from your network and you have deals you're securing directly from the landlords themselves, that is when everything starts to kind of like gel properly. Yeah. Let me scroll down to the landlord section. So as we can see here, when you sell a deal that you secured directly from the landlord, you walk away with the full £3,000 fee if you're selling it directly to your own investor, right? It's not a co-source deal, so there's no split. It hasn't come from a agent, so we don't have to pay a referral fee. The landlord's only going to want what the landlord wants, which is whatever we're agreeing the investor has to pay. So in some cases, it will be the investor has to pay a deposit upfront and the first month's rent, but that's nothing to do with us, right? That doesn't come out of our fee. Our fee is separate. The 3K sourcing fee is a completely different conversation. So when you get a deal from a landlord, you get to keep that fee, right? So it is, of course, probably the more lucrative path, but it takes a little bit longer. You have to speak with a lot of landlords to get that yes in order for you to secure that deal and sell it and get the full fee. So in the background, you do need to have other deals going on, which is the whole point of having the network. So the two balance out, right? Um, you find motivated landlords for free on classified websites like Gumtree, like I explained earlier. I prefer to just call them. This is like an example of one of the ads here on the right. You guys can see from someone called Colin, and as you can see, his phone number is right there. I'll just press reveal, call him straight away. You can email him as well if you want to. I would call first. If I can't get him on the phone, maybe text. And if for whatever reason I'm just not getting no luck on the phone number, I might send the email. But either way, being able to just go directly to him on the phone is super powerful. The amount of deals that I've closed, the guys have closed, we've closed together because we do call out sessions to landlords just because we got them on the phone. I know we probably wouldn't have got the same response if we just messaged them, but because they've heard our voices and we've asked the right questions and we've handled any objections, it just made it so much easier to get that yes, you know. Um, so yeah, that's like a good example of exactly what the ad looks like. So look out for those posts, those advertisements as well. Like I said, I don't want you to avoid any posts where there's no phone numbers, because you could message them and still end up on a phone call with them anyway if they're happy to jump on a call. But of course, the ones that have just posted their numbers just makes life easier. Yeah. So you use the right language to actually avoid confusion. Like I said earlier, rather than saying company let or corporate let or rent to rent, I just asked the direct, simple question of, can a company rent this property, or are you okay with a company renting this property? You know, just keeps it nice and simple. Then I like to give them the benefits. So usually when you ask that question, can a company rent the property? If they respond positively, i.e., yes, they can. Yeah, I don't see why not. Or haven't thought about that before. How does that work? Or just anything other than no, basically. Um, we want to, of course, give them the benefits. So we want to explain to them that the client's going to pay them guaranteed rent. So these companies the company that will rent your property is our clients. Our job is to find these properties for them and make sure it fits. But essentially, they'll pay you guaranteed rent long term, 3 to 5 years, depending on what we agree. There's no maintenance cost for you. They cover all the maintenance. There's no management cost for you. They have their own guests and tenants that they manage. So essentially, you can hand the property over and not have to worry about the traditional hassles that you have with an AST tenant, right? So we give them all the benefits, and obviously there's more benefits and things you go into, and they'll ask questions and you have to answer them. But essentially, you can just secure a deal just by picking up the phone and having a conversation, which is crazy because these are deals we're going on to sell. and be paid £3,000 for, right? So it is really important that you're having those combos. So to secure the deal formally, we use a heads of terms agreement. I know a lot of deal sources don't use any form of paperwork to secure their deals. And I know of so many nightmares where they've lost out on money that really they should have got because they didn't tie the deals up properly. They didn't have the right paperwork, right? Well, we make sure that our heads of terms agreement is signed before we start pitching these deals to our investors. So straight away, we've already solidified the fact that we found this deal. You know, we're not going to let the investor go through the door without signing our NDA anyway. So we're still secure, but this is like the first layer of security, and also just kind of just proves that, you know, this is what we agreed, this is what we proposed to the landlord. The landlord can't turn around later on and say, oh, this is not what we discussed at first. Like, they've signed it, they've agreed to it, so they know this is what the discussion was. So important to get those wrapped up. Sometimes if you can't get the actual heads of terms agreed, and that's usually only because maybe the landlord doesn't want to sign anything straight away. I don't know who's coming through the doors. I don't know what the situation is yet. Maybe let's get some viewings done and then I'll be happy to sign. And that's fine. What we do in that case is we just get everything agreed in an email. So whatever we've discussed verbally and you said you're happy with, I'll just put it in an email and just ask you to respond and confirm that you're happy with it. And that is, believe it or not, just as good as a contract. Although we'd prefer to have it in a contract form, an email stands up in court if we needed it to. So yeah, we just get that all confirmed in writing, and now we have our deal secured formally, and we can begin selling it to our investors, right? So that's all of the foundations. So if you've got all of those foundations laid, you're now in the position to start the process of selling the deals, right? And like I said to you guys earlier, there's people that just rush the process. They literally just dive straight in, start speaking to landlords, secure a deal, and think, okay, I'm going to sell a deal and make money straight away. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. Lay the foundations first, make sure everything is in the right place, and you're basically just preparing yourself and setting yourself up for success if you do it this way. Whereas if you're just diving in and nothing's set up and, you know, you're kind of just blagging it, then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. And I've seen it happen so many times over and over and over again, right? So is everybody clear on the foundations? So free Facebook groups, high demand areas, qualified investor list, a network of co-sources and agents, and motivated landlords slash developers. Is everybody clear on that sequence? Because it needs to be done in order. Just give me a yes if that makes sense, guys, and if you're clear on it. If you're not clear on it, just let me know just quickly what it is you're unsure about, and then I can maybe go over it in more detail. Okay, Dave asked a question, so let me just answer that whilst you guys answer me. So Dave said, Gary, you said something about building relationships. How would you do that with, oh, where you gone, Dave? How would you do that with, how would you do that with a private landlord who has got a good deal for rent and you don't want to pressure her to allow a company let, but you would want to make her feel comfortable and convince her to allow a company let? I mean, what would you say to the private landlord? Okay, how would you do that with a private landlord who has got a good deal for rent and you don't want to pressure her to? Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, to be honest, you don't have to pressure them. You know, like I said, you ask the right questions. Firstly, to make sure they're even happy for a company to rent the property, and if they are, then you wanna. I mean, in some cases, some people don't even need you to necessarily give them the benefits because maybe they've heard of it before, or whatever. But you're gonna know that from that conversation. It's gonna have like a natural flow. So if I'm asking you whether you're happy for a company to rent it, and you say yes, you might want to know a bit more information about how that works. So now I'm going to tell you how it works, which is me telling you how it works is essentially me giving you the benefits, right? So I don't need to pressure you into that. I'm just telling you the truth about how it works, what the company is going to do, how it benefits you, and just like the whole structure of it. So you never should have to pressure them into anything. You just explain what it is you're proposing, how it works, um, and that's it. And that, the reason why people say no usually is because in a lot of cases, obviously there's probably loads of reasons, but one of the main reasons is because they don't understand how it works or what it is. And that's why a lot of deal sources fall short, because you're like trying to rush the landlord into saying yes. You haven't even made it clear to them what it is. You have to remember that these people did not put them properties on the market intending for a company to rent it. They were specifically looking for a type of tenant, a traditional tenant. So we have to make it easy for them to understand why they would switch that direction and go with us. So yeah, so my answer would be, you have to communicate with them and explain everything and make sure that they're comfortable. You shouldn't need to pressure them, you know. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, Dave. Let me know if there's any more questions. De Quincy said, okay, I've already seen that one. De Quincy, okay. Can you share best daily actions? So, how many investors to contact? As I asked earlier, not get blocked on Facebook. So, yeah, to begin with, when you're building your investor list, I would be messaging 50 investors per day minimum. Split it up a little bit. So 25 in the morning, maybe 25 in the evening, just to stop yourself from being blocked on Facebook, because Facebook can be a bit temperamental for you guys that because remember, Facebook is not used to your account sending a ton of messages every day, whereas it's used to my account sending hundreds of messages, right? Because I get a lot of people messaging me or responding to content I've putting out, etc. So my VA is literally in my DMs messaging hundreds of people, and we never get blocked because Facebook's algorithm is used to that activity from us. But if you're a new account, or even if you're not a new account, but your account doesn't usually send this many messages, if you just kind of go all guns blazing, then sometimes Facebook will block you. That's not to say that that's always the case, though, because I was just speaking with one of the newer members of the program, and she was able to message like hundreds of people a day, which I was confused about. I didn't understand how. But she just never got blocked. List grew very quickly. She's in the process of selling deals right now. She's got viewings happening and things like that. But that was, again, that was her just taking action, firing those messages out, having those conversations, and it led to her building a strong list. So those are the daily activities to begin with, because I hate to kind of like advise people on all the other things if the first part isn't sorted first, because the rest doesn't really matter, to be honest, until like get your list right first, and everything else can kind of fall in place afterwards. Everything kind of aligns afterwards, right? So yeah, my advice to you in terms of daily activities for now is sending the messages to the investors, booking them on the calls, and obviously doing the calls. That's it for now. Just get the list right. Don't worry about deals or anything else. Just get the list right first, and everything else will be a lot easier. Okay. No worries, De Quincy. Okay, so that is the foundations. Let's quickly run through the actual process, because now we've laid the foundations. And you know what? It's funny, because I was just having this conversation with someone the other day. It's like some people will lay the foundations and just leave it and just kind of expect it to kind of like make itself work. But there's still things you have to be doing to get the cogs to turn. You don't have to do too much, but well, let's go through it, right? So, okay. So now we've got our areas that we're covering. We've built our list, or we've started to build our list. So we've got investors qualified on the list, waiting for deals. We've started to build our network, or we've built it. So we've got a good amount of co-sources. We've got good relationships with agents in the area. And we've also started speaking with landlords directly, right? So let's start first with the network, because that's where we would start off first. So co-sourcer sends us deals, or agent sends us opportunity. We do our due diligence, right? And due diligence is going to mean looking at comparable properties in the area within close proximity to make sure that the numbers make sense, essentially. And once we've done that, we will, because this deal has come from the network, so we haven't had to speak to the landlord directly. We don't have to do so much, right? With the agents, we still have to kind of like put forward a proposal and have the discussion, etc. But just speaking about the co-sources mainly right now, once you do your due diligence, you've had a look at the numbers and you're happy with the deal, you want to make sure you've got your heads of terms signed, or you want to make sure that They've got their heads of terms signed because it's them securing the deal. So they've got something agreed in writing for this deal. So we know it's deliverable, right? It's not just they've called an estate agent or they've called a landlord and asked if the property is available, and now they're pitching it as if it's a rent-to-rent deal, which, as crazy as that sounds, that is actually what some people do, believe it or not. But that's a different conversation. We want to make sure that these are actually deals that are secured. So once we're clear on everything, it's been done the right way, which is just a conversation with the sourcer that we're getting the deal from, to be honest, the deal is now secured. So as you can see here, the blue box, let's say it's come from the network, it's gone through all the checks we need to do to make sure we're happy with it, and now it's secured. So the next place it goes is straight to the investor list, right? I've said to you guys earlier, WhatsApp has the best open rate by far. It's 2024, guys. Not many people really care about their emails anymore, being honest. And texts get a good open rate, but I just think a lot of people just use WhatsApp nowadays. And obviously, as we know, like, you've got family groups on WhatsApp, you've got friendship groups on WhatsApp. So just naturally, you're in WhatsApp a lot. So we just find that you get a very good open rate when you send deals on WhatsApp. So we send the deals to the investor list. Now, as I explained to you guys earlier, sending the deals is one part of the job, right? We can send them all day, but we need to be clear on whether or not people are actually seeing them. And not even just that they're seeing them, and not making assumptions or making their decision based on something that we could maybe help with, like whether it's a objection or whether it's like what I explained to you guys earlier about the lady getting a deal from one of the mentees and it had like 80 deals in it, and just because of that she just didn't go through it. But this ended up being a lady that's actually in the process of maybe taking some deals from that list on. The only difference is I called her and had the conversation. So the follow-up calls are really important for those issues, right? So we send the deal out. Everybody on the list that doesn't respond, we give them a phone call. And on that call, we make sure they've seen the deal. We find out what their thoughts are. If they haven't seen the deal, we explain it to them briefly on the phone. And basically, we extract as much information and value and generate as much interest as we can on that call, which is very easy to do. This isn't a cold call, guys, remember. These are people we've added to our list, we've spoken to before, we've sent them a deal which pretty much fits what they've said they're looking for. So this call's straightforward. And I know sometimes people get a little bit scared about following up with phone calls or calling people in general. You heard Adina mention earlier about, feeling like you're kind of like spamming or bugging people. Never feel like that, honestly. They want to do business just as much as you do. I never get bad responses on the phone. Even if someone says no and they're not interested in the deal, they're still polite. They still have the conversation, right? So you have to get comfortable with getting on the phone. Which again, for the people that are in my program, we do that together. So I literally train them to become confident on it because we do the phone calls in real time together. So we do the calls. If anyone's interested in the deals, any of the investors, we want to book them in for a viewing, right? Essentially, when a client goes through the door, that's when they really make their decision about a deal, right? So we want to get them through the doors ASAP. We can have the discussion on the phone about the deal till the cows come home, but I know you're not really going to make your decision till you put your eyes on the place. You walk in, you see the sizes of the room, you see what you can do with this, see what you can do with that. Oh, I can get 2 bedrooms in this room. Oh, I can do this, right? You get to see the true potential, which you don't get to do from pictures or a video, right? So we want to get them through the doors ASAP. So if they want to view the property, they need to sign our NDA. So we have an NDA for our investors and we have an NDA for our co-sourcers, and it just protects us on both sides. So it means investor can't cut us out and go direct to a landlord or agent or co-sourcer and do deals without us. They'll be liable. And same thing with the co-sourcers. They can't cut us out and try and take our client or etc. So very important that that gets signed before we pencil in that viewing. Once that's done by both parties, so co-sourcer and investor, now you can book the viewing in, right? And by the way, the NDAs are signed online, just using DocuSign or any e-signature platform. So these are things that take minutes to do. We're not having to like print and scan and send and none of that. It's 2024. Everything gets sent online, right? So it's very quick. Once those are signed, we book the viewings in. They go, they view the property. We do not need to be present. right? Again, this is 100% remote. Okay, I honestly cannot think of one person even out of the examples I just showed you above, that has sold a deal and has actually physically been to the property. So honestly, guys, I'm not just saying it to say it. We literally do not go to any of these properties. We don't go to viewings. We don't have to meet anyone. Of course, if you live local to where you're doing deals and you want to pop in and meet people, that's fine. It's not to say don't meet people. Is we don't have anything against viewings and meeting people. It's just about the convenience aspect of it and the logistics of it. You know, if I want to do deals up in Manchester, I'm in London. It just doesn't make sense for me to travel back and forth to viewings, and I can get so much more done from my phone, right? So the viewing takes place. If they're interested after the viewing, like I said, they've seen the place now, they can see the potential, they can envision what they need to do. They get a true appreciation for the size and the potential. Now you get the offer. So they make the offer. Usually they make the offer verbally. So after reviewing, you have to catch up with your client, of course, because you're not there. So you want to catch up. How did it go? Any questions? What's your thoughts? Offer, right? If they make the offer verbally, ask them to send it to you in writing as well on the email. And now we present the offer to our landlord, right? Or co-sourcer or agent, wherever the deal came from. And once that offer is accepted by them, it's a very straightforward process. We need to do any necessary checks if there's any checks needed. So some landlords might want to do, reference checks. Agents might want to do reference checks or income checks. They want to make sure that whoever's taking the property on, they can afford it. If they've already got units with other landlords, they want to make sure that they're treating those units the way they should. So just the necessary checks. Once that's all done, again, very quick process, but once that's all done, um, it's a case of providing the draft agreements. So you don't just straight away send the final agreements, you send a draft first to make sure both parties are happy, the landlord and the investor. Once both parties are happy, we send the final agreements. And then once final agreements are sent, both parties will sign, again, online, DocuSign. Once both parties have signed, then the upfront payments are due. Now, some sources you're going to kind of end up speaking with, they will tell you that they take the money up front, and some of them, that's what they're attempting to do. We stay away from that. We don't really want to be involved in taking money up front. Not to say that there's necessarily anything wrong with it, like in general, because like I always say to people, if you take money up front from your client and it sits on your account and the deal doesn't happen, you trust yourself enough to send the money back. But the problem is when you have sources that want you to get your client to send the fee up front, and then all of a sudden there's a problem with getting into the property. And if the client wants a refund, now you don't have any control over that money because it's with the sourcer. And these are real things that happen. And it's a nightmare for you, because now you have to figure out where to get that money from to pay back that investor. But the way to avoid that, the way that you will never ever be in that position is never take money up front. It's very straightforward. I've never had to give any refunds to any investors because I never take money up front. All of these guys in the program, all the ones you're seeing above, they're not having to give any refunds because they don't take money up front. So that's something to keep in mind. Very important. And these deals happen so quickly, we don't need the money up front. This isn't like, when I was selling B&B deals, buy to let deals, where you might take a little reservation fee because the deal's going to take 3, 6, maybe 12 months. So you want to try and get a little commitment up front, just for the sake of it more than anything. Rent to rent is going to take you a couple of days. We don't need that money up front. And even taking the money up front kind of puts you in a position where you have to stick to that one buyer now, right? So investor puts the money down up front. You cannot show it to anyone else now. You have to hope and pray he takes it. And if 2 weeks later he turns around and says, do you know what? I don't want to take it. I want my money back. You're stuffed, because now you have to go and find another investor if that landlord's even still open to working with you. So it's just a lot of headache. Whereas with us, because we don't take money up front, until somebody is ready to proceed with the documents and get things done, we can continue discussing it with our investors on our list and getting viewings booked in. And everybody's aware that until you're ready to pull the trigger, we're going to continue showing it because we're not going to take your money, right? So essentially, there's no commitment from you yet. So that's the way that we operate, and it works so much better for us. And we just never end up in those situations where there's issues with money or deals are sitting stagnant for extended periods of time because money's been paid up front and you can't go with anyone else. We never end up in that situation. So I would advise you, of course, you can decide how you want to do it, but my advice to you guys would be just avoid it. Get paid your 3K fee once the deal is done. Contracts are signed. The minute that lease agreement is signed by the investor and the landlord, your fee's due anyway, and there's no going back. So the investor can't change their mind, or the landlord can't change their mind after they sign the agreement and say, "Oh, actually, I don't want to do it anymore." If they do, they've got to take that up with the other party. Our job is done once the contract is signed. So you've read the contract, you've gone through the clauses, you're happy with everything. You've even read the draft, because if you guys remember, I said we don't send the final agreement straight away. We send the draft first, and then once they're happy with that, then we send the final agreement. So once you've got all of that, you've signed it, the deal is done. Our fee is due, and if there are any issues, we've never had any issues, because who goes through a whole contract and signs it and then changes their mind? It doesn't really happen. It will happen when they haven't signed the agreement. And that's why the guys that take money up front end up in a lot of these problems, right? So my advice would be get paid when the deal's done and then release the keys once you've been paid your fee. That's how we operate. So the investor doesn't get the fees until, doesn't get the keys until we get our fee. I know that rhymes, but so yeah, so everybody's happy at that point, right? And everybody's safe, and the process is a lot smoother, and there's a lot less headache. So that's the way that I would do it. Is there any questions about that at all? Is there anything anyone's unsure about? Because we've gone through the foundations, I've gone through the process. Now, I didn't specifically go through the landlord's part, but it's very similar. The deal comes in, we do our due diligence, we make our proposal to the landlord. Once we've looked at our numbers, if they're happy with it and it's all good to go, then we get our heads of terms signed, like we checked with the other side. With this, because we're working directly, we get the heads of terms signed. And once that's signed, the deal secured, and it's the same process through to the investor list, follow-up calls, NDAs, viewings, offers, sales. And then it's just literally rinse and repeat. So what you have seen the guys above do, all the examples I showed you, this is literally all they've done. What I've just shown you is how they've ended up getting these results, right? So like Charlie sending this deal in 2 hours, he probably wouldn't have been able to do that without having that qualified list built up front. Well, I mean, we kind of know that because, again, the investor bought multiple deals from him after he built the relationship, right? And that's what gave him the trust, I suppose, to be able to buy another deal off of him within 2 hours without seeing it, and pay the money, and feel comfortable that he's not being scammed, right? Because this is Harry, someone he's worked with multiple times now. So it is really important, really, really important that you get this process right. Okay. Is there any questions at all about that, guys? Let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions in the chat. That's right, Dave. Yeah, Dave said, okay, so I get these messages, for some reason, they're being sent to me directly. So I know the rest of the guys are not seeing this, but Dave sent it directly to me on here saying, I get what you mean. You can be more direct and say, I saw your property for rent. It looks nice. So would you be open to a company renting out this property? I wouldn't go straight in like that. Firstly, I'll find out if the property is still available. That's like the first thing I want to find out before I go into anything else. Is this property even still available? And then if it is, I say, okay, great. Look, I was just having a look at it and the pictures and the description. It looks like what we're looking for. Would you be okay with a company renting it? That's when you kind of go into it. So don't go straight into the company pitch. Open up the conversation first and then go into that. It's kind of similar to what I was saying to you guys about the investor conversation. People shoot themselves in the foot by going straight in, giving all this information like off the back and like this long message. They are not going to read that. We are strangers. They don't know us. There's no reason for them to give us that much time, right? I was just helping someone with this the other day, and I asked them to just send me an example of the message that they're sending to investors, the initial message. Now, you guys heard the message that I send. It's very short and straight to the point. pretty much, hey, I saw your comment on a rent to rent deal in blah blah area. Are you still looking for deals like that? Done. That's pretty much my opening message, right? This person's message was like paragraphs and paragraphs and links to his website and this and that. And I said, and he's like, nobody's responding. I said, yeah, because you're drowning them in information, drowning them. It's too much. You don't need to have that conversation. Like, that's not the way you need to open the conversation with them. Open it up by being direct and straight to the point. Let them know why you reached out, right? Which is why we're telling them specifically that it was a rent to rent deal, specifically the area that we saw, and asking the question, leaving that message on a question. Are you still looking for deals like that? You get so much more responses that way. Then all the other information that you want to send them, your website and all of that stuff, if you want to send that to them, do that after the ice is broken and you're in the flow of the conversation where they actually want to hear information. But initially, we need to open the conversation. So it's the same thing with the landlords. Just kind of like keep it short and sweet to begin with. And then once they're a little bit more open to you, then you can start going into more detail and, giving them a bit more of a bit more background on yourself and what it is you're proposing. Does that make sense, Dave? Hope that makes sense. Okay, and then hey Orion. So Orion said, can I also say something regarding deals? Yeah, of course. Go on, fire away. Ask your questions as we're making our way through, Orion. I think you might have turned up a bit late, so you might have missed some of it. But don't worry, this is recorded, so you can watch back over it. But fire away, and all of the other guys who have joined late, feel free to use the chat. In fact, make as much use of the chat as you can. We actually don't have much of the call left, so fire all your questions over now, and then I'll take my time and answer as many as I can. But I'm going to assume that everybody's clear on the actual process, right? So again, just quick recap. 3 Facebook groups is first, high demand areas second, qualified investor list third, fourth is your network, and out of your network, it's co-sources and then agents. Then after that, it's motivated landlords and developers. And then the actual process, as we discussed, was getting the deals from your network or from the landlords, doing your numbers, your due diligence to make sure these deals stack up, making sure that everything is signed up properly. So heads of terms, secure the deals properly, and then once the deals are secured, pitching them to the investors. We're not even pitching them, essentially, it's just sending them to the investors, WhatsApp, text, or email. And then you will get some responses from people on the list, but everybody who doesn't respond, and of course, there will be some cases where nobody responds, to be honest. But either way, whoever doesn't respond, they get a follow-up call. And that's like really, really important, guys. You have to do this part. I see so many people hiding from this, hiding from the phone. I had a post on my Facebook. This is a while back, but I was telling a story about my old boss, my old estate agent boss, right? Which is really where I got a lot of these, like the sales attitude from. And he always used to say, because I was the top salesman in the office, because I was just so comfortable with the phone, right? But all the guys that was in the office that were like a little bit, they'd prefer to send an email or send a text, and they just hid from the phone, basically, right? Is what we used to call it. And he used to say, all you people that are hiding from the phone, you are hiding from the money. And that is so true. It's so true. Because like even the examples I've given you guys, just the 1 or 2 examples of, picking up the phone and doing that follow-up call session with Samuel and speaking to the lady that said, I saw the message, right? So she saw it, she didn't respond to it, but she saw it, and she made an assumption. She made her decision basically before we even spoke to her. So again, the importance of picking up the phone and communicating with these investors is, I can't even describe how important it is. You have to take it seriously, or you just leave tons of money on the table, essentially, right? So follow-up calls, and then, like I said, NDAs being signed to protect yourself, viewings happening so we can actually let the clients get a good idea of what they can do with the property rather than just basing it on the information we're giving them. And then offers, once the offers come in, presenting them to the landlord or the agent and tying up the sale, getting the sale across the line, which is making sure the paperwork is being sent back and forth between both parties, getting it signed, and making requests for the funds and making requests for the keys to be released. So All of these moving parts, super important. This is essentially the blueprint of a successful deal sourcing business without having to go down the route of paying for ads, you know, and all the other things that people have to do, which makes things a little bit more difficult. You know, you can literally just implement this, just using a bit of time and effort, communicating, and still be able to crush it and sell a lot of deals and make some really good money, as you saw above, right? Okay, let me make sure I'm not missing any questions before I wrap this up. 1 second, let's go down to the bottom here. Okay, let's make sure we're not missing any questions. Okay, so Orion said, I've missed your message, Orion. Where's it gone? Yeah, De Quincy said keys after fees. Yes, keys after fees. The last thing you want is for them to get the keys and then tell you they'll pay you whenever, because now they've got what they wanted and there's not really any urgency to pay you. Whereas if you've got the keys and they know they can't get the keys until they've sorted out the fees, right? No keys before the fees. And then Orion said, can you advise how to get rent-to-rent deals from estate agents? Already covered that on this call, so just watch back the masterclass. Okay, essentially you're striking relationships to the agents first, and this is the problem that a lot of people have, is they're trying to just get deals from agents with no relationship with them. And agents are very picky, being honest with you. I know, because I was an agent many moons ago, and we just don't, we're not going to just work with anyone, right? People that we have relationships with always get first dibs. That's always the case in agents. Every single estate agent has a set of people that they give first priority on most things. Happens in sales. If there's a property for sale in an area where we have really good relationships with, like, the big investors in the area, the big developers in the area, my boss would always give them first dibs. Always, you know. Relationships are so important. So yeah, I would definitely strike relationships with them first, and then the deals will start to come. Okay, but when you watch the replay, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You can find them online on Google for free, and it's just a case of you jumping on and having combos, and very straightforward. But watch back over this, and it will cover all of that for you. Okay. Okay. You said today I called them and they said the landlord will not accept company letter. Okay. You're gonna get a lot of no's from agents, to be honest, and a lot of no's from landlords. It's part of the business. It's the nature of the business, guys. You have to get. I mean, again, you joined a little bit later, Ryan, so you don't know. But I was saying to the guys earlier, if you're gonna get into this business or any business that involves sales, you've got to get comfortable with hearing no. Not everyone's going to say yes, but every no is getting you closer to the yes. The problem that most people have is they hear a couple of no's and they give up before they get to the yes, right? The yeses are coming, but you got to hear a couple of no's first sometimes. How many people did you call today? How many of them? How many agents did you call out of interest? Just let me know in the chat. And also, you called two. Okay, two's not enough at all. Two
Hello,
is
guys. Am I audible?
two is definitely not enough, right? We need to be speaking to way more people, just in general, you know. So
Hmm.
try and speak to some more people, or more agents, essentially, and you will see you're more likely to get a better response. Guys,
Hmm.
please don't play with the screen. Please, please, please try and avoid playing with the screen. Okay. And somebody just tried to speak. I don't know who it was. I didn't see the name, but if you just can, you
I
just write in the
speak
chat first, and
RN.
then just write in the chat, and then I can keep it under control. It's so much easier, guys, if we just do it that way. And then you can come on, whoever it is. I can't see who it is, and the name's not popping up. But just write in the chat, and then we can bring you on. In the meantime, guys, for those of you who've stayed through this call. It's been a long call, and I really do appreciate your patience. We started at 7, 8, 9, 10, we're 3 hours in, so I need to wrap this up. But thank you so much for staying to the end. I really appreciate your patience. I have a question. So for those of you who have been there from the beginning, those of you who are just kind of catching up at the end, you're probably going to have to watch the replay to get the full gist of it. But for those of you who came from the beginning and you've watched the whole thing, do you believe that this is a strategy that you could implement, especially with my support? Right? I want to get an idea of how many people in here feel this is something they could do, you know? And then of course, if it's something that you could do with my help. So Orion says yes. Who's the Quincy says yes. Mel. Okay. Stephen. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so a good amount of you. So what I'm going to do, Mohammed as well. Okay, guys, good. So what I'm going to do is, for those of you who answered, and I mean, to be honest, whether you answered or not, if you just genuinely feel that this is something you can do and you'd like to get involved and get yourself up and running, I'm going to continue scrolling down and I'm going to walk you through how I can help you. Full transparency. It's going to be about the program. So it's actually the program that you've just seen, all of the guys above. It's the program that they joined, the six-figure deal sourcer program. It's how they got their results and how they're still getting the results. So I'm going to just kind of run you through how it works, what the cost is, etc., etc., and you can fire questions at me. For those of you who don't believe you can do this for whatever reason, or you're not interested in trying to do this, it's a very simple strategy, guys. As you just saw, you just need maybe someone to hold your hand slightly. But for those of people who are not interested in that, I'm more than happy for you to leave if you'd like to leave. This is more for people who are ready to go, start taking action, and you just want to kind of like pull the trigger, you know? So I'm going to give you some more information. Before I do that, though, I can't see the person. I can't see who it was that wanted to speak. I want to give you the chance to speak. I don't want to just cut you off. So who is it? I can't see. I can't see who that was. Just write in the chat whoever that was, and then if you need to come on and speak, I can bring you on. Who was that? Oh, it was Orion. Okay, Orion, do you want to come on? Sorry, I couldn't see your name. Where are you? Let me find you. Orion, there you are. Yeah. Do you want to come off mute?
Hi.
Hey, how's it going? You okay?
I'm okay. Very okay. Thank
Good.
you. I hope you have a lovely time. Thank you for this session.
No
I think
problem.
that's very great education, for new people, anyone. And
Bria,
these
I'm
are
glad to hear you find it useful.
like basic things. Once we are familiar to this, and it takes only few days, I would say, to get familiar to all these things. Then
It's
it's rinse and repeat for everyone.
it's a very quick process. As was you on from the start? I know you came on a little bit late, didn't you?
Came a little bit late,
So
actually. I
you
came in last.
yes. So you've missed some of the well, you've missed all of the examples of all the people that are getting the results, but it's fine. It's recorded, so you can
And
watch
next
back
week,
over
I will
it.
be there if you conduct this next week.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm saying next week, I will join this for sure. If you conduct it once again.
I
The
don't
next
think I don't think I'll be doing one again next week, but you
uh,
can watch the replay. You can watch the replay.
100% I'll watch
So the
it.
replay will either be up tonight or maybe tomorrow. But just keep an eye out on the group. I actually,
Sure.
again, because you joined late, you didn't know, but I asked all the people that are on the call if you'd like me to send you the replay after, then just send
Mm.
me a direct message on the school app. So you know
Okay.
the app where you've
Yeah.
actually got the link for this call in the first place. Just shoot me a quick message on there so I know you was on this call live, and then I can
Mhm.
send you the actual replay after the call and also some other information that I've promised the guys too. Yeah,
Okay, sure. I'll send you a message. Thank you so much. Thank
no
you.
problem. Did you have any questions though? Any other questions before we go on?
Not very cautious, but today what happened? So there was a viewing, okay, in Birmingham,
Mm-hmm.
but that was a co-source. Now and then I'm calling my co-sourcer, he's not picking. But my person who wanted to view is there. So what I did in the last, like I was trying to find a new property. Then I
Right.
rang up three estate agents. So I was checking if I can get something very quick for them. But then I called them. They said the landlord won't accept company let. That's the thing. So I
Yeah,
think.
I wouldn't do it that way. For like, if
Ah,
if the viewing doesn't happen for
ah,
whatever reason, there's no point trying to, especially not from an agent anyway. Because being honest with you, an agent isn't going to give you a property there and then. You're going to have to like have that. As I was saying earlier, you got to kind of like get in the door first, get yourself into a bit of a relationship with them, speak with the lettings manager, create that rapport so that they're
mm,
comfortable giving you those opportunities. But if you're just calling and trying to like get a viewing that day on a sort of like rent to rent corporate let basis, most agents are going to be a little bit standoffish with that. So you're better off just communicating with the investor and just letting them know, look, I'm sincere apologies. I've been trying to get hold of whoever it is you're trying to get hold of to make the viewing happen, having some real issues. I just want to make sure that you're kept up to date, and then you can kind of decide, do you want to hang around and see if I can maybe still get hold of them, or you can shoot off. But as long as you communicate with the investor whilst that's happening, don't let them wait there and try and like figure other things out and then let them know later. No, keep them posted at all times, because what happens is, whether the deal happens or not, or whether the viewing happens or not, whether it's positive or negative, if you keep them up to date, they will still be happy with you and still work with you regardless. And this is something I'm super strict on with my guys, because I say to them all the time, when there's a viewing happening, contact your investor, contact your agent or co-sourcer or landlord or whoever it is that's you've got the deal from before the viewing. You contact them just before the viewing as well to make sure everything's fine. You've got in and everything's okay, perfect. You contact them after the viewing. If there's issues whilst you're trying to get them into the viewing, you stay in contact, you call. Communication is key. Just that alone is going to keep you in everybody's good books. And that's all you need so that you can continue doing deals with them. You don't want to lose out on a deal, but also lose the clients as well. You don't need that. Losing the deal is fine because there's so many deals. The deals come and go. Finding deals is easy, right? But finding good clients and good agents to work with, or good co-sources to work with, that's the difficulty, and that's why you have to really keep hold of it. And the easiest way to do that is just communicate well with everyone. That's it, and that will keep you in everyone's good books.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you so much. Yes, thank you.
no
That
problem. And
yes.
well done for even getting the viewings. But just keep working on it, okay? And again, shoot me a DM, and we'll try and get some things done together, okay?
Yeah, sure. See, I
Perfect.
feel like everyone can get 10, 20 viewings daily. It's just a simple process which we have to do.
10 to 20 a day is a lot of viewings. I'll be honest with you. It's a lot of viewings every
You
day.
know what people can do is, like join. Okay, now you know what I feel. What one more thing can be done is, see, there are many normal people out there. They don't know even about rent to rent. So we educate them like, hi, there is this business which you can do. You go on to normal groups, you tell this to normal people like there is this business which is out there, and we help you in setting up this business.
Are you talking about for the investors or for the
Yeah,
landlord?
for finding new clients, like as a business.
Yes, but what type of clients? Are you talking about landlords or investors?
Investors.
Okay, so
Yeah.
investors, you don't really want to try and convert people who don't know about rent to rent
Mm,
cold into, and the thing is, you don't need to. You again, you joined the call late, so you've missed everything that I've shown. But the groups that you're going to join has thousands of rent to rent investors in them. Thousands, not hundreds, thousands. So why would you need to go and find someone who doesn't know about the business and try and like go through that fight of convincing them to go down this route? It's just not worth it. It takes too much time, and 9 out of 10 people are going to say no. Whereas you have access to thousands of investors that are in the comment sections underneath rent to rent deals in the city you're gonna. What city do you cover? What city was your viewing in today?
Birmingham.
All right, so Birmingham, for example, I can go onto Facebook right now, go into near enough any rent to rent Facebook group because Birmingham's a hot area. Type Birmingham in the search box, and I can find 500 investors right now.
Mm.
For
Yes.
Birmingham investors, by the way, rent to
Mm.
rent Birmingham investors. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
why would I go and try and find someone who doesn't know about rent to rent and like educate them on it and convince them to invest in it when the people who are already convinced on it, already trying to invest in it, are right there for me to reach out to, and it's free to find them. You see what I
Okay, yeah,
mean?
your point. Yes, yes,
You
yes.
see what I
Right.
mean? So yeah. So I wouldn't. You don't need to do that because there's the people you need are there. You just put the time and effort into speaking to them, and you'll secure them. You'll build your list, and you'll be able to start sending them deals. But
Mm.
when you get time, Oran, watch over this replay because these are the things that I've gone over in more detail. So then you'll understand exactly what I mean. But you're definitely on the right path. Just probably a few little tweaks and things you need to change, and we'll get you there. But shoot me a
Sure.
message, and we'll go
Thank
over it
you so
definitely.
much, man. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, no problem. Okay. Let me make sure I'm not missing any more questions before we wrap it up. Okay, cool. All right, so we're not missing any questions. All right, so as I said, look, for those of you who are ready to get started, um, you've kind of taken in everything I've given you today. I imagine for a lot of you, it's not just today. You've seen the other content and information I've put out there, and the other examples of the people that are crushing it. So you're well aware of exactly how this goes. But in terms of the actual Deal Sourcer program, and I honestly believe that this is the best. If it's not the best, it's definitely top three deal sourcing programs in the industry. I'm basing that off of numbers, off of results, off of feedback, reviews. There's not many people who have come to this program from other programs, struggle to sell deals when they were there, and come here and still struggle. They, usually if you've struggled on another program and you come here, you see a complete different setup, right? Just even in terms of support, community, results, as I said, and the value that you have access to, it's a completely different ball game. So in short, it's the six-figure deal sourcer program, the number one rent-to-rent deal sourcing community in the industry. Um, when I launched this program 3 years ago, I priced it at 3K to join the program. And the reason why I priced it at 3K is because, as you guys have seen from all the examples, and probably without me telling you, it rent-to-rent deals are selling for 3K each. So my strategy of pricing the program at 3K is on the basis of you only need to sell one deal and you've made your money back, right? That's kind of how I put it together. So um, all of those people that you've seen in those examples above, well, I'd say the majority of them. Of course, some of them probably joined maybe when there was little promos going on and things like that. But in short, most people who have joined the program have paid at least 2K, in most cases 2,500 to join, but they've all sold at least one deal. So they've made their money back plus profit in a lot of cases. And then all of these other deals you're seeing them sell is 100% profit. It's theirs. You saw De Quincy offering to give me 50% of his 10K. And as I said to him, look, I wouldn't even want to take 50% of your 10K. You make the 10K, you keep making the 10Ks like these guys are doing. I don't take a penny of it. All I ask is just be transparent. If you're okay with that. For some people, they like to keep private, right? But if you're okay with being transparent about your experience on the program and the results you're getting, that's what helps me. I don't need to take a percentage of your money. So the program cost is 3K. That's when you get lifetime access. So if you was to pay 3K, you get lifetime access. At the moment, I am running, and I've only launched this today, the Black Friday sale. So you actually get £1,000 discount. So you'll only actually pay £1,999, £995, and you get lifetime access. So it's a one-time payment. Once you're in, you're in. You have access to all upgrades, all events that are attached to the program, everything that comes in that program, you have access to it, right? So that is the price as of today. The deadline, so there's actually a special promo link that's been created and it expires tomorrow at midnight. So you have time to kind of ask me questions if you need to before pulling the trigger. Again, if you're ready to get started straight away, I'm going to actually post the link to the program in the chat. Just 1 second. That's being sent to Dave. I need it to send to everyone. So here's the link directly to your Black Friday discount code. Again, this is only for today and pretty much tomorrow. By midnight, it will expire. So please, please do not message me after midnight tomorrow asking, is the offer still available? It will not be. It's going to go back to 3K. So please take full advantage. And like I said, you sell one deal, you made your money back. With this offer, you sell one deal, you've made your money back, plus you've made £1,000. So there's actually a ton of value being given, and I'm going to work with you on every other deal that you get moving forward without taking a penny. So everything that you need in terms of your hand being held and support, this program covers it. We have some of the best reviews out, if not the best reviews, and feedback and case studies in the industry. So you definitely benefit from that. So just to kind of break down for you what you actually get if you join the program. So you get the 6-figure deal sourcer step-by-step guides. We have written and video guides. Of course, I'm well aware that people learn in different ways. So there's some people who like the theory, they like to read and kind of like make notes and things like that. So we have that for you, some in-depth detailed guides which literally covers everything step by step. And we also have video guides, so I'm sharing my screen, I'm going through everything for you step by step on Facebook, on Google, on the spread, wherever it is, it's covered in real time. So it's almost as though you're looking over my shoulder, so you know exactly what to do step by step, every step of the way. You also get access to 24/7 real-time support, and that includes Q&A and deal analysis. So again, I was talking about the guys above and all the other guys in the program that are smashing it. This is something that they've always said they found really valuable, is that anytime there's an issue, they have someone to reach out to and ask for advice, right? So as they're working through deals, or even as they're just kind of building and kind of laying their foundations, if there's anything that they're unsure about, they can reach out to me or my team, and we are there 24/7. And it's real 24/7 support. I actually encourage you guys to ask the people in the program how real that support is, right? Because I know a lot of people offer 24/7 support, but I'm not too sure whether people are really up at 2, 3 a.m. answering questions if they need to, and this is every day. So this is real 24/7 support. We also do daily check-in / accountability calls Monday to Friday, and that is really every day. The calls usually last from an hour to 2 hours. A lot gets covered in the call. So again, as well as having instant access to support within the private members group, every day you have the opportunity to jump on a call and go into more detail, kind of like this, to be honest, kind of like what we're doing on the masterclass today. But you have that every day, right? And as you're actually working through building the business, selling deals, etc. And we also do weekly workshops. So you have access to the weekly workshops. I think I mentioned a few of the workshops during the presentation, but we do call out sessions to investors when deals are being sent out. So the guys literally get to hear how to generate interest right there and then, right? So it's not just, here's the information, you go out, figure it out on your own, you make the calls on your own. I actually do the calls with you in real time. They're recorded. So even if you joined the program and you couldn't jump on the call for some reason, you have access to all of the replays from before anyway, so you'll still get all of that information you need. So we're calling investors, we're calling agents, we're calling landlords, we're calling developers, we're calling co-sourcers. We are making all of the calls that people hide from. So the whole point of that workshop is, for me, is to just make you super comfortable with getting on the phones, because I understand how powerful that is. I also do those sessions one-to-one as well, for the people that are really struggling. So we jump on calls one-to-one and we do the phone calls together. It's kind of similar to what I was just doing with Samuel the other day, which I explained to you guys. And look, he came out of that session with viewings, interest from multiple investors that he didn't even expect, right? So very, very important to have that real-time support on those tasks. You also get access to the 6-figure deal sourcer members only community. We have about 100 plus active sourcers in the community actively selling deals. So you straight away get to start building your own valuable network. And because you're part of the same community, there's an element of trust there straight away. A lot of the guys in the group say that, as soon as they join, the first people they want to try and work with are the other people in the program and in the community, because they know who they've learnt from, they know that they're trustworthy. So there's just an extra layer of value there just by being part of that community. So you have access to that. You also have access to our in-house deals. So we actually have a separate section in the program just for the live deals that are available. And again, this is how a lot of the people who have started from scratch, built their lists, and are now just about to go out and start finding deals, have still been able to sell deals, because straight away they instantly have access to deals in their area that some of the other sources in the group have already secured. So it just makes life super easy, and it has allowed a lot of the guys to sell their first deals rapidly within weeks. So really, really powerful. You also have every single document needed to take a rent-to-rent deal from A to Z. So your non-disclosure agreements, your heads of terms agreements, some of the documents for AML, for example, your lease agreements, of course, to actually complete the deal. So every document that you need, you have that pack immediately as soon as you're in the group. Okay. I've also chucked in a bonus. So the six-figure deal sourcer program has always been a group program. So it's been group phone calls, it's been the group aspect. The questions are asked within the group. Yes, you can send me DMs and get the answers as well, but mainly a lot of the activities and things happen within a group setting. And literally all of the guys you've seen above, because they all kind of joined before I decided to offer the one-to-one bonus, which I'm about to tell you about, they've all only benefited from the group aspects of the program, which clearly is still work. They've still found valuable, and has been working for 3 years. Now I've implemented the one-to-one VIP coaching calls. With this offer, I'm adding it in as a bonus. So if you decided to join on this current Black Friday offer, I'm chucking in 4 one-to-one VIP coaching calls. They will last from 1 to 2 hours at a time, and we'll unpack everything that you need. Whether that means we literally need to just sit down and go through how to set everything up if you're a complete newbie, and we go through it together with my screen shared, and sometimes with your screen shared, so you can show me what you're doing on your side. We're going to literally have your hand held on 4 one-to-one VIP coaching sessions. So I'm chucking that in as well for all the people who join now. I've just seen someone's actually just joined, so well done. So you have access to that straight away. And I believe that's pretty much it. I think I've given you everything in terms of the program. And like I said, this offer is going to run until tomorrow midnight. So anybody who comes on board, you're going to benefit from all of this. And straight away, you'll be able to get started and start diving straight into the phone calls. We actually have some calls tomorrow as well. So if you join today, for example, you can jump straight on my support call tomorrow at 1:30, and also maybe pencil in a one-to-one call for tomorrow or next week, depending on what your schedule's like. So either way, there's flexibility there, but just the main thing is you have all of the support you need. You have the strategy you need, tried and tested. As I said, there's no longer about whether or not it works. We know it works. We're seeing it happen day in, day out. It's more about what you do on your side and what you put into it. So just knowing that you have that support behind you, and you have access to that community that will also support you. The guys in the program are really good. Even though I answer questions and my team answer questions, even they do, the ones that are more experienced anyway. So you have access to all of that. So that's the six-figure deal sourcer program. The number one deal sourcing program in the industry at the moment. You all have access to it. Is there any questions at all? Any questions at all? Anything anyone's unsure about, whether it's about the strategy or the program? Any questions at all? And also the link